Okay, please join the meeting. 2.1, call to order. I will call the Paris Union High School District Board meeting to order at 2:04 p.m. I'm going to ask for a roll call to determine a quorum. Trustee Anaya.
Here.
Trustee Stafford.
Here.
Trustee Hall.
Present.
Trustee Garcia.
Here.
Trustee Campos here. Thank you all, and we have established a quorum. 3.1, invitation to address the Board of Trustees, closed session items only. Are there any public comments on the closed session items?
Yes, Trustee President Campos. We have two speakers. We have two.
Okay, two speakers. Okay, I'm going to read something really quick prior to the speakers coming up. Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentation depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. In addition, the president may take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask that the additional person speak only if they have something new to add.
Thank you, President Campos. The first speaker is Mr. Stephen Cass, and the topic subject is layoff/reassignments.
Thank you.
Hang on just a second.
I get a timer in front of me, this is great.
Okay.
Okay, again, my name is Stephen Cass, hello. I've sent emails to everyone in front of me explaining some of my, most of my situation here. I just want to start by saying this is only my second time ever speaking in front of a school board. The first time was when I was 17 years old. I spoke in front of the Lake Elsinore School Board District. I was a senior in high school. I had lost all my sports to an injury, and I was asking the school board to add, at that time, boys volleyball so I could continue my career as an athlete. They voted yes for me then. I'm now here asking you to vote tonight to save my position as a volleyball coach. I've been at Paloma Valley since 2003. I started as a health teacher and coach. This last year I got my 300th win. I've won multiple league titles since nearly 50, well, I will be over 50 athletes to colleges at the end of this year. But more importantly, I feel my role at Paloma Valley is valuable. I saw some of you this morning at the Student of the Month presentation. It was my second volleyball player out of, 9 students. 2 of them are volleyball players. Next month we'll make 3. I've had multiple students there. I'd encourage you to go back and listen to the speech that my student Brooklyn gave. It sums up the culture that I foster at Paloma Valley. I believe these decisions are coming for layoffs because of our financial situation. It's my understanding, again, that students come to school because they live there, but they also have a choice to go to some of our schools, and we're seeing students leave. I know the value I bring, and that students come to Paloma Valley for Coach Cass. Students that wouldn't be in our district, right? They're coming here. Students are staying in our district for Coach Cass, for this program. Over the last 10 years since they got rid of health, every administrator I've talked to has said, I understand your value and we want you at Paloma Valley. Every single one. Okay? Again, until this year, something's changed. I would encourage you, with my last 16 seconds, to look when you get to the budget items tonight, and you're looking at that, page 32, okay? It asks us, we're in trouble, and every answer is no. So please, 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 do not vote for layoffs. and leave me at Paloma Valley.
Thank you.
I think that's it. My 3 minutes are up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker, President Campos, is Mr. Jason Miller regarding item 4.4.
Thank you. I usually don't speak before closed session, but I was hoping that the item I bring up right now is discussed in closed session and maybe, make decisions accordingly. I want to point your attention to agenda item 13.11, the second interim report. Most, if not all years, that action item traditionally is just a report that you approve as a school board. This year, there are 2 extra attachments that I do not feel need to be included. There's a resolution 18-2425 that basically asks the board to assert that the district finances are terrible and they will be terrible in the future. There's a serious projection that the district will go from a $35 million ending balance right now to $2.6 million ending balance by 2027-2028. That is a big drop even for projections. The numbers do not support this as we see them, and you are asserting in the report itself that everything will be fine. So it's almost a mixed message between the resolution and the report as I see it. I would like to request the board speak about this in closed session and see if they can alter this in some way to simply accept the vote on the report itself without the 2 attachments, which you've always done. You've always just had the report. We vote on this report, that's it. Thank you for this time to speak.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank the speakers for your commentary. We appreciate it. And I know it's not easy at times, but thank you for that. 4.1. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. 4.1, adjourn to closed session. Do I have a motion to adjourn to closed session?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Garcia. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Stafford. Seeing no discussion, please vote. Upon the vote being taken, the vote was 5 in favor, 0 opposed. And we are adjourning to closed session at 2:11. We're at 5.1. The regular board meeting of the Paris Union High School District is reconvening at 5:14. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. If you wouldn't mind, just remove all hats and caps. Put your right hand over your heart. We're ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And our invocation will be given by Mr. Garcia, Trustee Garcia, 6.1.
If you all don't mind, either a moment of silence or a silent prayer for the direction of our district, that would be appreciated. Thank you.
We're going to kind of make a couple of adjustments. We've got some special guests here. And so, I'm sorry, we're moving now to the oral reports, and we'll report out of closed session. Dr. Rouse?
Yes, Mr. President. In closed session by vote of 5-0, the Board of Trustees approved the settlement agreement for employee 219827 with the Paris Union High School District. The agreement includes the employee's resignation, which will be effective at the end of the day on June 30, 2025. The board's vote on this item is as follows. Jamie Anaya, yes. Steve Campos, yes. Edward Garcia, yes. Charles Hall, yes. Anthony Stafford, yes.
Okay, thank you for that, Dr. Rouse. Now we're going to move. We have some special guests here, so I'd like to, before we get to the student representatives to the Board of Trustees, we're going to start with our special guests. So it's my honor to announce the Paloma Valley High School NJROTC, who will do a presentation for us.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Cadet Lieutenant Jackson, and I am the proud company commanding officer of the Mighty Wildcat Company. Today, my fellow senior leaders and I will be giving you a little presentation of our company. I would like to start off with a quick video of our competition team, the Battle Cats. So that was a little video showing of what our Battle Cats compete in at our field meet competitions, which consists of PT, which is physical training, academics, and drill. I would like to hand it over to my executive officer to introduce a little overview of our unit.
Good afternoon, I'm Cadet Lieutenant Junior Grade Adrian Rodriguez, and I'm the company XO. ROTC is a program spread across the nation. It is a program that goes with middle school, high school, and all the way up to college. ROTC teaches students self-discipline, followership, and leadership. And there are many more great attributes that come along with it. And now I'd like to pass it back to the company CEO.
Thank you, XO. So in ROTC, we do a variety of events starting from summer all the way up until now. Some of our events in the summer, we had 12 cadets go to summer leadership development courses, which consists of our Leadership Academy, our Sail Academy, and our Devil Pups. They've attained great knowledge and brought it back to our unit. We have also performed our nation's colors and presented them 50 plus times throughout the school year at various sporting events, various school events, and community events within our city. We also done a few hybrid presentations, which consists of our armed exhibition and our unarmed exhibition teams, where they put on a little performance at any event that other people might invite us to come perform at. In our company of 112 cadets, we have accumulated over 1,200 hours of community service throughout the school year, and that is with the city, that's with local elementary schools, or right here at our school with a canned food drive. One of our biggest things about JRTC is competitions, and as Paloma Valley Wildcats, we are always eager and hungry to compete in a lot of things. In our academic competitions, which are called brain brawls, STEM competitions, which consists of drones, sea perch and everything, our drill competitions, which are field meets, again, which consists of academics, field drill, and PT. And we're trying to get into physical fitness competitions called Raider competitions. One of two events that our cadets must go through as a grade in the unit is called annual military inspection. And with our annual military inspection, each of our cadets stands in front of an active duty sailor and or Marine, and they get inspected just on basic knowledge and how they wear their uniform and everything. At the very end, we like to give a little pass and review ceremony to our friends, teachers, family, parents, and everyone else who's invited. I would like to hand it over to my company senior chief to present some of our future activities.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Cadet Senior Chief Petty Officer Martinez, and I'll be going over the future events that we have as a program. So we are a very competitive program, so much so that we have over 5 teams, okay? We do a lot of competitions for drill and STEM and academics, but we always want to try and do more, right? So we're trying to start up multiple teams, right? For STEM, we want to venture out on Sea Perch, which is our underwater robotics competition. We want to venture out on making a PT organized team, which would compete in our Raider challenges or field meets around this area, and also have a team for musically inclined cadets. We also want to venture out in more opportunities for community service and color guards. Right now, we have over 1,200 community service hours, but we always want to do more. whether it be like within the city or even outside the city grounds, right? Same with the color guards. We do color guards on campus and outside, but we could also do more. Awards night. Awards night is basically our celebratory event where we celebrate the leadership capabilities that the cadets have, from medals. We celebrate the accomplishments of the cadets. We celebrate the outgoing seniors, right? And also reveal the promotees for next year's leadership, which is held on April 17th, which I do humbly invite you all to follow and come. For military ball, it's basically our prom for ROTC cadets, right? It's to balance out. First semester, you have kind of a stressful scenario. Maybe they're like a NS1, like a freshman trying to adapt to like high school, or maybe it's like a cadet in general who's taking harder classes, right? So we want to kind of ease them out a bit and have some fun. We have some food, we do a little dancing. It's awesome. And for recruiting opportunities, right? Last year we did pretty good. We had significantly more cadets to join this program, but we could always do better from our media efforts, or maybe like venturing out to more middle schools. And with a little bit of eye candy, we do hybrids, which is basically our exhibition stuff, which is like flipping rifles and striking cool poses. So I'd like to pass it over to Cadet Lieutenant Evan Jackson.
Thanks, Chief. So, as a program who subscribes to constant and never-ending improvement, we have a variety of goals that we like to attain each and every school year. Like our senior chief was saying about our recruiting numbers, we want to reach over 150 plus cadets within our unit to raise it from a company level to a battalion level. The battalion level, we can do much more, have more cadets involved in our variety of our teams. And with continued successful development, we'll have more successful leaders, team commanders, detachment commanders for small unit roles. They can participate in community service, our teams, platoon leadership, which is our class periods. We call them platoons. And it's just to help develop our cadets from a freshman to a senior to become a better leader in the program, and also outside of school as a professional citizen. One last thing is, as our unit, we'd like to achieve and attain the coveted Distinguished Unit Award. The Distinguished Unit Award is an award that each unit likes to strive for, that only a handful get at the end of each ROTC year, which usually runs from April to April. The last but not least, attaining our PE credentials back, and that was just to offer more students incoming a more option incentive to join ROTC. As of now, we offer our elective and our fine arts credit, and we are looking to get back the PE credentials. If there are no further questions, I have any questions, comments, I'd be happy to answer.
Trustee Anaya?
No, thank you. Everything was good information.
Trustee Stafford?
You guys really look good. The medals and uniforms, and you're so well spoken. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
What a great thing here you guys are doing. What I got out of it most, which I hope everybody here listened to it, they always said we can always do better. So good job on it.
Thank you, sir.
Trustee Garcia?
Since you spoke too quickly, I couldn't write down all the dates. But I wanted to ask if you guys could email us the invitations.
Oh, yes.
Of course.
please.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know what, and I kind of, to piggyback off of Trustee Hall, you guys, that was phenomenal, that's a great job.
Yeah.
You guys are young men that are just, I'm sure your parents are proud, and I'm sure Ms. Blythe is proud of you guys. Now, if you guys could, just because you guys were a little quick, but your articulation of what you guys said and your mission was spot on. I mean, that was actually fantastic. But what I didn't catch, I know you're Cadet Lieutenant, what's your first and last name?
Evan Jackson.
Evan Jackson. Okay. And are you a senior?
I'm a senior.
Okay. And then I did not.
Cadet Lieutenant Junior Grade Adrian Rodriguez.
Okay, Cadet Lieutenant Adrian Rodriguez. And that's why I kept looking up on the stage. I saw yours because when you were giving your presentation, it said Martinez, and I know you're Petty Officer Martinez.
Senior chief.
Senior chief. Oh, senior chief. Okay, I didn't understand what that was for. And then your first name.
Justin.
Justin. Okay, Justin. And all three of you seniors?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I mean, that's pretty much it. Just thank you for being great young men and for representing our district. So we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, at this time, we are going to recess to go into our CMI meeting. And any students, you are free to leave at this time if you would like, or you can stay here for the rest of the board meeting.
Thank you all for supporting them. Okay, now we're moving 7.1. We're going to recess. The board will recess the meeting to conduct the regular board meeting of the California Military Institute Charter School, and we are recessing the meeting at 5:27. The regular board meeting of the Paris Union High School District is reconvening at 6:43. 8.1, the revision, adoption, ordering of agenda for March 12th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Hall. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Stafford. Please vote.
Oh,
Hold on one second, I'm sorry.
There is some discussion. It's 13.6. Yeah. Okay. Before part of this discussion, can I make a statement?
Yes.
Okay.
Please do, Dr. Ross.
As a collaborative team, the district administration and the Board of Education, we recognize that addressing a reduction in force, or RIFs, is one of the most difficult responsibilities that we face together. Bringing forward an agenda item that impacts the livelihoods of our valued educators is never taken lightly. This evening's agenda includes an action item recommending the reduction of our certificated teaching staff by 6 positions. This recommendation is a result of extensive collaboration between the Board of Trustees, me as a superintendent, and our cabinet. Together, we have worked diligently to explore new ways to save money and to bring in more attendance to save teachers' jobs. Despite these efforts, enrollment trends still necessitate these difficult decisions. This year, our enrollment decreased by 128 students, and projections indicate an additional decline of 108 students for 2025-2026 school year. These enrollments shifts significantly, and they impact our staffing needs. Our Board of Trustees, our district leaders, and our educational staff, we are united in our shared commitment to providing the best possible education to our students. None of us enter education to make these difficult decisions. However, tonight, we have made a collaborative decision to recommend to the board to pull item 13.6 and continue to work together in collaboration with all the stakeholders, with our unions, with our teachers, to look at how we will navigate the fiscal stability of our district. We have that responsibility to our students and to our community, because that is one of the 5 fundamental pillars to sustain our vision. Fiscal responsibility. But once again, together we are making the recommendation to pull item 13.6, and I'm confident that working together, again, all of our staff, with our classified union, with our certificated union, we are going to be able to bring in more revenue to our district and save more teachers' jobs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you for that, Dr. Rouse.
So I make the motion right now, correct?
Yes, that
Now,
is a
okay.
recommendation. You made the motion officially
Thank
to
you.
pull that.
On that note, I, Garcia, would like to remove item 3.6 from the agenda.
13.6.
Or 13.6.
Okay, do we have a
Sorry.
second? Second. Thank you, Trustee Hall. So we're, just so we're understood, we're pulling 13.6 as we move on to vote. Okay, great. Please vote, or if there's any other discussion, any discussion? Okay.
Okay.
Who's second?
Oh, Hall. Trustee Hall was the second.
You can have more discussion.
And seeing no discussion, please vote.
Hold on. It's fine.
Hello.
It's fine.
I'm on 18.
Hold on, let me back up real quick. So I'll go down the line. Any discussion?
Oh, my great pop.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. I didn't see anybody. Okay.
No. Can I?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So I do want to agree with Dr. Rouse. We've been talking about every strategy possible to preserve jobs, and what we came up together is that we're going to work even harder to show you guys that we're being diligent with our words, and we're going to follow through collectively with the unions, cabinet. We are going to preserve your jobs, and we're going to find more money, whatever it takes. So I need you guys to be aware of that. We are going to be working together.
And you know what, just to add to that, it's just that we know that when we come to these decisions, it's very difficult. That there has been, throughout the conversation, a lot of different opportunities and options for us to try to generate extra income. And obviously, I think earlier, having our cadets here from Paloma Valley, those are one of the things that we want to promote to the community, that we have special programs out here and that we want students to enroll when they leave whatever feeder school they come to, that they're coming to Paris Union. At whatever school that we can provide them the best services. And so obviously in that vein, in that manner, we want to continually move to improve programs. We want to make sure that our sports programs, Mr. Casa, thank you for your words earlier, that we're having the best programs out there, because good programs in everything that we do, whether they're extracurricular, they're sports, whatever it is, arts, it tends to want to have kids attracts students to our sites. And with that, we know that right now, fiscally, we're hoping for the best. The May revise is coming up. And instead of, kind of spinning out and worrying for the next few months, I think we thought it was the best cohesive and collaborative decision to make sure that we move forward, knowing that we're going to all work together to get a positive outlook. And so at least for tonight, people can go home and put some things to rest. And obviously, we just look forward to the future and having a good May revise, hopefully, and finding ways to generate funds to continue maintaining all of our staff as well as all of our programs. So with that, we'll go ahead and vote. So thank you for everyone who's spoken, for everything that you guys are doing. We appreciate it. Please vote. Upon a vote being taken, the vote was 5 in favor and 0 opposed. Moving on to oral reports, we have 9.1, report out of closed session. Dr. Ross?
No report out of closed session, President Campos.
Thank you, sir. And 9.2, district update by the superintendent.
Thank you, President Campos. First of all, I would like to say that we are really happy for pulling item 13.6. And President Campos mentioned, we are going to find ways, right, to reduce our deficit spending, but we are going to need your help. We are on this together. Classified union, certificated union, administrators, students, parents, everybody working together. Right now, we have 88.6% ADA. We need to increase that attendance for two main reasons. The first one, students cannot learn if they are not in school. And second, that is going to help us reducing deficit spending, and we have more funds to invest in all the other extracurricular activities and a lot of items that students share with me during the meeting that I have with the representatives of all the schools. So we are counting with the help of all of you. Working together, we are going to be stronger, and we are going to continue to move forward our district, Paris Junior High School District, to provide the best possible education to our students, the students that they deserve. The next item that I would like to include in this update, I would like to share some very exciting news. Our ASB program at Liberty High School has won the Outstanding Leadership Program Award, OLPA. Congratulations to our ASB program at Liberty High School. Liberty High School also is being recognized for the gold level certification for the DECA program. DECA stands for Distributive Education Clubs of America. This is a non-profit career and technical student organization. And our students will be recognized, listen to this, during the DECA's International Career Development Conference this April 26, 29, 2025 in Orlando, Florida. Bison Enterprise is one of the 10 high schools in our state who earned the honors. This is absolutely wonderful, and congratulations again to our outstanding Liberty High School students, our outstanding Liberty High School teachers, and our outstanding Liberty High School administrators. I'm thrilled to share also that Heritage High School robotics team 7832 Gear Gurus has advanced to the LA Regional Championships to the World Championship. This event will bring together the top teams from across the US in 30 countries. And our students, they have earned a place through hard work, teamwork, and engineering excellence. They competed against 42 teams throughout one of the most competitive regions in the world and came in 4th place. They are also awarded the prestigious First Place Think Award for the portfolio. And we have the privilege to meet some of them, Ms. Anaya and Trustee Hall, last week when we visited Heritage High School and the robotics team. We are very proud of our students at Heritage High School. Congratulations. Paris Junior High School District, along with the work from School Services of California, is working on the plan to transition what is currently in place with a traditional independent study to course-based independent study, also known as CBIS. The district will bring to the school board the documentation to get that done. This includes, we are going to be revising board policies, updating written agreements, drafting a board resolution to certify CBIS courses, and a revised master agreement for independent study. We are aligning our district policies with the state requirements to provide a rigorous, structured, and compliant independent study program that also is going to help us with the funding for our school district. The next item that I want to share with you is our online academy. Course-based independent study of CBIS is one part of transitioning of Scholar Plus Online Academy, formerly known as SOLA, to a more comprehensive an engaging online high school program to be updated and implemented at the beginning of our next school year. That is, we will have this program ready, the online academy for our students this coming August 2025. The adoption of CBIS for SOLA is moving beyond credit recovery to a more robust online learning experience. Key staffing updates are being worked on to ensure the program has the leadership and student support to ensure the online academy is an effective and highly engaging program. So students in our community, this coming up to support all of our students that for some reason, right, they cannot attend in person. I want also to share with you our SAFE initiatives update. We have about 27 specific actions that we have taken since September to today in order to improve student safety. It's a long list that I'm going to email to our board members, but I can tell you the outcomes. We are very proud to report that we have a reductions in fights. In order to address an issue, we need to recognize that we have an issue. And I can tell you, we did that in September. And then we developed a plan, a laser focus addressing the problem that we were facing in some of our high schools. And I want to say thank you to our classified union, to our certificated union, our teachers, our administrators, everybody working together, because that was the result. That teamwork, that's what helped us reduce those fights. And during my last, every week, I revised the data during my cabinet meetings, and our director of security was sharing, the numbers that before were the minimum number of incidents that we had, right? Because they were so high, now are becoming the highest numbers, right? But we are not satisfied that we still have issues. We still have fights. We still have areas that we need to address, and we will address it. Because we want to provide, and we will provide our students with a safe environment where they can really enhance their education. Now we have the RAVE Awards, and I want to ask our Chief Human Resource Officer, Mr. Andrade, that he will be presenting them. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Arau. Board. Okay. So for this month, we are recognizing the outstanding front office team. From Liberty High School. We are incredibly grateful for the dedication and hard work of our front office support staff, Nancy Cueto, Courtney Quintanilla, Eileen Pintos, and Monica Tejera. These exceptional ladies are the heartbeat of our front office, ensuring that every parent, student, and community member is met with outstanding customer service. Their teamwork, efficiency, and commitment to excellence make a significant impact on the daily success of our school. No task is too large for them to handle with accuracy, diligence, and professionalism. Their unwavering dedication truly embodies the Herd way, and we are proud to have them as part of the Liberty High School family. So thank you to Monica, Aileen, Nancy, and Courtney for all that you do. You are truly deserving of this recognition. If we can have them please come forward. If you want to please step forward so we can take a picture with the board. Just stand up behind you.
Watch the chin.
Trustee and I, could you step a little? 3, 2, 1.
I don't bite.
Another one. One more.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that, and congratulations, Rave winners, Rave Award winners. 9.3, Student Representative of the Board of Trustees. Trustee Hall will introduce Heritage High School.
Oh, there he is, sorry. From Heritage High School, Rashad Anderson.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Rapp, and members of the cabinet. My name is Rashad Anderson.
I'm Devon Saunders.
I'm Atiana Cisneros. And I'm Taylor Grunder.
We are thrilled to talk about the events and activities that have been going around the school in the past couple months.
Right before winter break, the cheer team set up a camp for children to come and learn a routine. All the kids came on Saturday and were taught a dance and stunt routine, which they performed at the basketball game the following Tuesday. This event was overall a huge success as it combined our community into a fundraiser for our cheerleaders.
After winter break, our students returned to our winter rally in the theme of Men in Black. Like before, this rally was fully run by our students, and our aides worked hard for months to put it together. We had our cheer team perform, our dance team perform, and for the first time, our folklorico dance team performed. This was one of our most successful rallies, as we finally got most of the freshmen involved in our battle cry chant.
Our winter sports teams have been excellent this season with some outstanding achievements. The girls soccer team made an incredible run to the CIF finals and secured a spot in the state competition. They went on to dominate their first state game with a 5-0 victory. The water polo team made history by claiming the league championship for the first time ever at Heritage, and they advanced all the way to CIF semifinals. The girls wrestling team also finished first in league and headed to CIF. To top it off, the girls basketball team went on to CIF Division I, where they soon ended their season.
Our spring sports have started practicing and beginning. All of our sports have started very impressively, and we can't wait to see how they excel at the end of the year.
This month, our student of the month was Eileen Morales. Eileen has been involved all around our campus, being in film production all 4 years, leading this year as the president of Media Arts. She was chosen this year as the Riverside County representative for Youth Creating Change, a mental health and suicide prevention initiative that helps students across the state. This past year and upcoming this spring break, she was represented in our advanced film department as students have gone up to Cal Berkeley to create video promotional material for the campus. Along with multiple years in avid NHS volunteering for RCOE, Eileen has definitely shown what it means to be a patriot and leave their legacy.
Here are a few of our upcoming events. Dance Showcase begins on March 6th. Our winter dance is on March 15th. Our open house is on March 18th. Mr. Heritage is on March 21st. Prom Fashion Show is on March 26th, and Patriot Olympics is on March 28th.
This concludes our presentation. Thank you so much for the continued support of what we do here at Heritage, and thank you for your time.
Okay, I have the honor to introduce the Liberty High School student representatives, Philip Chu, Jeremy Malavo, and Alina Zavala.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Rao, and the cabinet. I'm Alina.
I'm Jeremy.
I'm Phil.
And this is
our varsity recap. For March Student of the Month, we have Elena Zavala. She's one of our AFD presidents, and she's actively participating in folklorico, pole engine dance, GSF, and much more. She's a dedicated and hardworking student that exemplifies what it means to be a varsity. She's truly deserving of this Student of the Month.
On March 7th, Liberty hosted its annual Spring Stampede, a vibrant event showcasing our spring student athletes, cheerleaders, and band, which highlighted their school spirit and talents. Spring athletes were cheered on by the student body.
We'd like to congratulate our Liberty DECA for placing first in sports marketing and entertainment team decision making and earning a bid to ICDC in Orlando. We are extremely proud of the hard work and dedication, and we wish him luck in the next phase.
Congrats to our ASD class for receiving the OPA Award from California Association of Student Leaders. They will be recognized at the student conference in April in honor of their dedication and hard work. Liberty counselors and students had their middle school visit on March 4th and 5th. They visited Belmont Middle School and Harvest Hill STEAM Academy 8th graders to give them an introduction of their transition to high school at Liberty. Students got to get involved with clubs and pathway offer at Liberty.
We would like to congratulate our dance team for having a strong finish to the competition season. They won first place for their pom category, second place for contemporary, and fourth place for the hip hop category. Great job to the dance team.
For upcoming events, we have open house on March 26th.
LHS will be hosting a community event for incoming new students.
The pep rally will be on April 17th.
We're going to host an Avatar-themed rally to boost school spirit and morale through cheers, performances, and activities. We will have our dance teams, sport recognition, ASD election candidates, and important announcements for prom.
And hosted by our sophomore class, our spring extravaganza on April 4th. This will be a fun community event, and that will have games, food, and an item.
And as always,
have a great day.
Go Vice!
From Paloma Valley High School, I'd like to introduce Student Representative Hannah Ruff.
Hello, Percy School Board. I'm Hannah Ruff, back again with the Wildcat updates from February to March. Let's start with a look ahead. All next week is a Spirit Week with 5 very creative Spirit Days, including Wear Your Own Green Day on Monday for St. Patrick's Day. Tuesday is Head to Toe Tie-Dye Day, Mismatched Clothes for Wacky Wednesday, Crazy Sock Day on Thursday, and then finally Friday is a Neon Day where we will also have a neon glow-in-the-dark spring pep rally. Then later that night, for the first time in many years, we are bringing back the Morph Dance, which will also be neon themed. Everyone in Paloma is just completely abuzz in anticipation for these exciting events happening. Let's not forget our Student of the Month for March, Senior Brooklyn Rutledge. She was chosen by a vote for staff, and we are so proud of her. Congratulations, Brooklyn. Next up, for our sports updates. We are officially merging into spring sports, which include baseball, softball, lacrosse, swimming, boys golf, tennis and volleyball, sun cheer, and track and field. Let's give a very special shout out to Wildcat wrestler Javon Major for making top 12 in the state for wrestling. Great job. At Paloma Valley, we like to keep a very positive atmosphere here. And who better to make that possible than our very own Plus Leadership Group? Plus has been sending out Google Forms to students so that they can share some kind words with their fellow students and friends. At Paloma Valley, we are working harder every day so that students can enjoy their high school experience. Once again, for Paloma Valley ASB, I'm Hannah Ruff, and I'll see you in April.
And next we have Paris. Is it Paris High? Yes, Paris High, Valentina Acosta and Linda Corrales.
Good evening, school board. My name is Linda.
And my name is Valentina. Welcome to another exciting edition of the Paris High School School Board video. February and March have been packed with school spirit, achievements, and celebrations.
Let's look at the highlights. We kicked off February with a crowd's favorite, Food Frenzy.
On Valentine's Day, our campus turned into a food lover's paradise as clubs and organizations brought their best snacks and treats to share.
From mouth-watering tacos to sweet desserts, our campus enjoys every bite while supporting students' fundraisers.
Food, fun, and fundraising, what could be better?
History has been made. Our boys soccer team are the 2025 league champions.
Through teamwork, determination, and pure talent, our Panthers dominated the field, bringing home the championship title.
Congratulations to all of our athletes, coaches for making us Panther proud.
On February 24th to the 28th, we turned up the energy with a BSU Spirit Week.
Each day brought a new theme, celebration, culture, unity, and school pride.
This week ended with an electrifying lunch boogie on Friday where students showed off their best dance moves.
It was a celebration of music, community, and Panther spirit. History in the making.
Join us in celebrating Aurora, who has made Paris High School proud by
by qualifying for the state competition. As the first female athlete from our school to achieve the milestone, Aurora's journey is an inspiration to all. Her dedication, hard work, and perseverance have paved the way in the future generations.
Congratulations, Aurora. We're cheering you on all the way.
During the month of February, our Paris High Culinary was cooking soul food for our teachers and staff.
At Paris High, we love to recognize excellence.
This month's Student of the Month is Kahori Samora, who has demonstrated outstanding dedications in academics, leadership, and community service.
Your hard work doesn't go unnoticed. Keep striving for greatness, Kahori.
That's a wrap on this month's highlights.
Thank you for being part of our Panther family and making Paris High School a place of excellence, achievement, and unstoppable spirit.
Stay tuned for more amazing moments ahead.
Until next time, Panthers.
Trustee Garcia will introduce Panacati Middle School students.
Yes, Isabella Duarte and Celea Polrana.
Good evening, members of the board and Superintendent Dr. Arauz. My name is Isabella Duarte and I'm your ASB student rep here at Panacati Middle School.
My name is Sela Polarena, and I'm your ASB student rep at Panacati. We are here to report what's been happening at Panacati Middle School this past month. In February, we held a Black History Month school-wide door decorating contest. Miss Aguilar's class won.
Spring sports are in full swing. Mr. Galvan is our boys soccer coach and Coach Patrick is advising for boys volleyball. We have been working on promoting our spring sports kickoff today after school. We're all supporting the sports teams by wearing blue and cheering on our athletes.
In other news, Ms. Harris was chosen as our February Teacher of the Month. She goes out of her way to show her care, and in other news, Ms. Harris was chosen as our February Teacher of the Month. She is a wonderful and caring teacher who goes out of her way for her students. She goes above and beyond. She created a crochet club and is an advisory for the esports club as well.
That's all for this day.
Thank you for watching and stay tuned.
Student representatives for their great presentations. Moving on to 9.4, we have the PSEA President, Jason Miller.
I've never been so happy to tear up a speech right now.
We should be celebrating, right?
Now I have to wing it. Yeah, for somebody who likes to talk, I'm the reason that cell phone carriers have unlimited plans. Okay, so I'm speechless. My heart is very, very happy. For one thing, this is an investment in one of your greatest resources here. That is the teachers and the staff. You can have all the nice shiny toys you want, programs and everything like that, but if you don't have the people to operate them, they just sit and do nothing. I do want to thank some people for pulling item 13.6. Business services, for whatever we disagree on about numbers, does have a talent for numbers. HR, I know that they have all been exploring the staffing and everything like that. PSEA is committed to working, if that means contract language or MOUs within reason, of course, on helping with the attendance issues. We do recognize that there are both capture rates and enrollment issues, and that's happening everywhere, right? And so some of it is a little more acute here at Parish Union High School District simply because the people here are new. This wasn't created with the administrators and cabinet here, but now we have some very talented people coming on There was a vacuum. There were people not even in a thing. Joe did a great job of holding it all together while those come together. I've only met Dr. Egan's once, but I'm told she's an expert in attendance, and that's exactly what we need at this point. And so if that means programs, if that means coming together to increase clubs and sports, those things that bring us here. But here's the thing, I've been here for a really long time. I call this place home. I love working at the Parish Union High School District. It has become one of the best districts in this county for a lot of reasons. And here's the thing, you guys have a lot of great programs. You know what we really need to push forward, and I've told you this before, you need to tell people what you're doing. You have a lot of great programs. I think it would be great to start letting the communities know you have biomed stuff, you have biosustainability stuff. A few years ago, even the union put 20 grand towards that greenhouse over at Paloma Valley. Do people know about that? The people at Paloma do. The students at Paloma does the communities. And so, so I think that's a good starting place for that. And so again, thank you very much. Thank you Business Services, thank you HR, thank you Cabinet, and thank you School Board.
Nine 9.5, CSEA President Cynthia Navarro.
This is not centered. I just. Good evening, President Campos, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Dr. Rao, Cabinet, and guests. So I share the joy that Mr. Miller just expressed. We are as thrilled as that you guys pulled that that item. Even though there was no talk with classified layoffs, which we are grateful, we share the pain that our certificated staff were going through because we work with them, and so thank you for that. So I'm 2 months in, and I've been just working since day one. So I've been doing what I call meet and greet. So I've been going to the different school sites, meeting with the members, just letting them know like who I am, what the union is there for, and this has brought great conversations. Members have come out and expressed some concerns that they've been holding on to, which I was very grateful because they felt comfortable with me, which I then addressed with some of the administrators. So I'm just being proactive with these meet and greets. And I can already tell you, Ms. Shaquan Jones took care of some stuff. Ms. Chavez, like I've had conversations with Hector Gonzalez as well. Like we are taking care of business. So I'm just so appreciative of the collaboration that we're having. And I'd like to also recognize the district's recent efforts in promoting from within. It's truly encouraging to see CSE members being recognized and given opportunities for growth when they apply for a position, which we just had 2 of our RAVE recipients, Monica Tejeda and Nancy Cueto. They also promoted from, to their current position. So it's just wonderful. We have incredible talent within our district, and it is our hope that this continues to be the trend moving forward whenever possible. So this week I've had the privilege of attending the annual Paraeducator Conference, which I just drove back from, so I'm very tired, and tomorrow morning I'm back there for the final day. So the district generously, sent 5 of us CSE members, and we're just incredibly grateful for this investment in our professional development. And some of the sessions covered were a variety of valuable topics, note-taking strategies, fidgets for self-regulation, and collaborative communication. My personal favorite was overcoming burnout. I was just like, because that doesn't happen here. But it was just, I just can't wait to share the insights with our members and bring back what I've learned to benefit our district. And to wrap up this busy and productive week, we will be returning to the negotiations table on Friday. And I look forward to continuing the positive and collaborative work we've been doing together. Additionally, tonight we are seeking your support for one of our MOUs regarding the Community Services Job Family. This has been a challenged item in the past, but I want to assure you that it was negotiated in good faith and with all parties involved. So we appreciate your consideration and support in moving this forward. I also want to acknowledge the ongoing relationship I am building with Mr. Alfredo Andrade and Ms. Maribel Escobar. While we may have had a hiccup along the way, I believe in moving forward with professionalism and mutual respect. At the end of the day, we all have a job to do and to represent our entities. But beyond the business side of things, I value the opportunity to build an honest and productive working relationship. Thank you for your time.
Moving on to 10.1, invitation to address the Board of Trustees on non-agendized items. And are there any public comments on non-agendized items?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Before we get to those, I'm just going to quickly read a quick statement, and there's a few of them.
There's 3 different topics.
Okay. So individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentation depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. In addition, the president may take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask that the additional person speak only if they have something new to add. Now, since we do have more than one speaker, like earlier, we do ask that you please stay on the 3 minutes that are allotted for our speakers.
Elder Trejo.
Good evening, board. My name is Elder Trejo. I'm a voluntary parent. This is regarding 2 late parents of having Principal Albert and Mrs. Ramos there. I think it's really crucial that they stay there. They've been such a crucial and important movement for our kids. I had 2 students who graduated from there, and they created a foundation of trust, a foundation of a sanctioned place for them. The way that they conducted and their way of involving with the kids, not just mine, but all of them, were super important for us. Super important for the relationship they built, not only with the students, but with us as parents. Kind of giving us a different mindset and opening the way they did things with the utmost respect and giving us that family loving environment. I just hope that they continue to be there, because I think it's important for the community, for our kids, for our students. I just really would hate to see that move. I think it's super, super important that they say it, because I've seen a dramatic change in the last couple of years that they've been there. That's pretty much all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vanessa Vidales.
Hello, good evening, Board of Trustees and Dr. Arouse. I hope your day is going well. My name is Vanessa Vidales, and I'm currently a student leader at Pierce Lake High School. And I'd like to thank Dr. Arouse for giving me the courage to speak here this evening. I've had the privilege to serve my school by being a voice at the superintendent's meetings. In those meetings, something stood out to me from Dr. Arouse. He kept telling us students that your voice matters. In the superintendent's meetings, we are encouraged to speak about school-related issues. I and the other students who represented Pierce Lake High School talked about the school's funding and how the counselors from other school sites would discourage us from coming to Pierce Lake. I was one of those students. I came to Pierce Lake High School in January 2024, my junior year, with about 15 credits. I was a student who had F's, didn't have the courage to come to school or do my work. I had no idea what I wanted to do after high school. I didn't go to class or get to school on time. So my only choice was a continuation school that I only ever heard bad things about. I had no hope of graduating. Until I met Ms. Ramos and Mr. Alfred. They encouraged me to come to school and work hard to get things done for myself. I'm now a student who has A's and B's and is caught up in credits and on track to graduate in June. They brought out the best in me and have pushed me to be the best every day. Not only me, but the hundreds of other students that attend the school. They are supportive of everything I do and have believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself. From experience, I can say that Pierce Lake High School by far has the most encouraging staff. Ms. Reyna was a secretary of ours who had been sent to another school site for no reason at all. She was the type of person you would want to see in the morning when you first welcome to campus. She always had a smile, the biggest smile on her face no matter what. She was the most genuine and caring person that I knew. And down to the teachers like Ms. Puente, who got the District Teacher of the Year award, but for some reason Ms. Puente is not on the PUHSD website, where all the other staff members are recognized for receiving awards. I don't understand why she is not there. Is it because she is a teacher at a continuation school? If she had worked at a regular school and got that award, would she be on that front page? Or down to another teacher like Mr. Bryant, who teaches kids how to get a job or prepare for interviews. He's another key staff member. Every individual staff member has an important role on this campus and a daily impact in our lives. I feel like I have gotten more help and resources from Pierce Lake than any other school. When you made the decision to remove Ms. Ramos and Mr. Alfred from our campus, I was devastated. They are what makes the school feel like a home. Yes, I'm graduating in June. Yes, this might not affect me, but it will affect the students later down the line who will attend this school. I went on the PUHSD website and listened to the recording of the meeting from February 25th. You had brought up 12.5 Personnel Resolution number 1324-25, release and/or reassignment of administrative certified employees, and voted yes on removing them without discussing why or stating their name. I have never seen you guys step foot on Paris Lake campus, but the Mayor of Paris and Riverside Office of Education visits our campus on a regular basis. So I invite you to come visit our campus and talk to our staff and students and to reconsider your decision on the removal of Ms. Ramos and Mr. Alfred.
Amanda Alvarez.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Amanda Alvarez, and I was one of the students that attended the superintendent listening meeting. I'm from Paris Lake High School, and our school discussed financial stability along with transportation and how other schools would discourage our school. There should be no reason for counselors to be telling students that attending our school would give them less benefits in school and isn't a good look on us. I was one of the students that they discarded this information to. When I attended the school, it made me become the best version of myself. Not only the work is easy to understand, but the teachers and staff had made me feel like I genuinely felt understood and didn't make it seem like I wasn't so behind. I've seen that our admin is getting transferred to a different site, and it didn't state a reason why. Ms. Ramos is a great resource for students in need. Many students visit her office to have someone they're comfortable with to talk to. Now that you're transferring her, who else will take that spot? Would students feel comfortable going to their new AP room and having any type of conversation with them after already gaining trust with Ms. Ramos? Also, Mr. Alfred. He has supported students and gives many students great opportunities and makes us feel welcome. He has made major changes to our school and for the better. He made this school look and be very inviting for students and parents joining the school. I am very concerned about how the students would feel when their most cherished staff members are taken from them, our family. These staff have given me a role in school and made me feel like my voice matters and needs to be heard. I fear that the students that wouldn't have them wouldn't get as many opportunities as I did, along with other students. I have over 100 student signatures saying that they disagree with the school board taking our admin from our school site. I really hope these signatures mean something to you, and I mean this from the bottom of our heart, that taking our admin would make a dramatic change with our students like me and our staff members dealing with the changes. It has also come to our attention, Paris Lake High School has been experiencing exclusion from any type of accomplishment recognition. One of our teachers, Ms. Puente, was celebrated as District Teacher of the Year. As you know, it is a great accomplishment anyone in the learning profession can receive. But when we take a look at the Paris Union High School District website, she's nowhere to be recognized and appreciated like the other staff members that have received an award. As students, we notice these things and they hang on to us quickly, and we feel like this is nothing anyone should experience. Another thing with the PUHSD website, I noticed that there are student graduates from Paris High, Paloma High, Liberty High, Heritage High, and CMI, but there are no student graduates from our school. Now that makes me wonder why our school is being excluded from the website. I thank you for giving me the privilege of speaking on the behalf of Paris Lake High School. As Dr. Arrell said, our voice matters and we need to be heard. I would really love to see some changes and prevent these things from happening. We know it is your job to look after us students. Thank you.
Ivan Mumba.
Alright, I'm a teacher first before a counselor, so I'm going to hand these out. Alright, I got 3 minutes on my shot clock. Good evening, board members, superintendents, and community members. My name is Ivan Lumba, and I'm here tonight as the school counselor for Paris Lake High School, but also a proud Menifee and Paris constituent and a single father of 2 children that are coming from a feeder site. As a parent, I rely on the school faculty as an extension of my parenting. For many of us, teachers, security staff, and school counselors are not just educators and supervisors. They are part of the village that help us raise our children. This is why having the right leadership at our school site is critical, especially for students who are the most vulnerable. Paris Lake High School stands at a crossroads of equity and opportunity. It is a place where students have faced challenges, find support, guidance, pathway to success. The handout I provided offers a small glimpse of the incredible progress happening at the school site. From increased attendance to a significant rise in school culture, the data shows the undeniable impact that each team member has made. However, despite these successes, our students who are already considered at promise are now struggling to understand the board's recent decision in reassigning our school administrators. 2 staff members were already taken away before winter break, and that was already a difficult decision. And now, the removal of both Principal Lee Alfred and Principal Cindy Ramos, our students are feeling left abandoned yet once again. Many of our students have experienced trauma with inconsistent adult figures in their lives, and sudden administrative changes only reinforces those feelings. This decision not only affects the student, it has left the entire staff feeling anxious, uncertainty of what's going on next year. We don't understand why the principal where he just got recognized for being the exceptional options administrator of the year is suddenly being replaced without justification. It sends a confusing message, not just to our team, but to the students who have built the trust in our leadership. I won't lie, I myself feel uncertainty presenting here tonight. Advocating for my student in front of you all comes with real fear and negative ramifications. But I know with their voice, I want them to be heard. Instead of protesting, acting frustration, or defiant, the students here at Paris Lake High School are choosing to make their voices known in a positive and peaceful way. And that is through the petitions that they took up. The most heartbreaking thing about this whole decision is how it has impacted our school culture. Paris Lake was once the place where it's the best school culture in the district, where students felt safe, valued, and empowered. But now, the same school is suffering from the lowest morale for both students and staff. The feeling of insecurity and trust we have worked so hard to build is unraveling, and everyone is uncertain about their future. I want to acknowledge why there's not many staffs here tonight. The reality is the culture that is being cultivated in the district is no longer of camaraderie and transparency. It is one led by fear. Many staff members are afraid to speak up and worry about the consequences of advocating for their students and school. When educators feel silence, it is not to create it's not creating a thrivable environment for students. It creates an atmosphere of distress, hesitation, and low morale. That is not the kind of culture that fosters success for anyone, especially for schools like Paris Lake that depend on relationship building. Whether the decision was made due to miscommunication, misunderstanding, or misinformation, I urge you to recognize that it is not too late to make this wrong or right. What makes you all a great leader is the ability to step up, acknowledge that something isn't right, investigate whether or not this injustice is happening, especially when parents, students, and community members are all speaking up about the incredible things that are happening at Paris Lake. This comes back to the simple truth. Our students are losing the constant support system and guidance that they depend on. Change when necessary should be made, and inputs are directly affected by us. As both community members and a member of the Paris Union team, I invite you to visit our schools, speak to our students and faculty, see for yourselves and see the progress we made over the years. If you truly are a district that values data, then let's consider the growth that we've achieved and voice those directly impacted. Before making the decision that significantly affects the students, I urge you to first-hand knowledge of your community and school. The qualitative data and the stories of resilience, determination, and transformation will speak volumes about the work being done at Paris Lake High School. I attached my information in there, so if you guys ever want to come and talk to me, I'm always open. The thing is, we're talking about ADA. We're talking about capturing students. There are hundreds of students that are credit deficient from sophomore and up. We don't have no quarrels of bringing more students into our site. I just hope that you see that we'll take in anyone. And we want to make sure we have students like the ones that I just presented to be our students in at Paris Lake High School. So,
thank you.
Marta Fuente.
because I knew you guys had 3
Oh.
minutes. So.
Thank you.
Sarah Peer.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Rao, cabinet members, and community members. My name is Sarah Peer. I am one of the substance interventionists in our district. I currently support 4 schools, one of which is Paris Lake High School. I want to share a little bit about my experience at that campus. When you arrive at Paris Lake, you are warmly greeted by campus supervisors, front office staff, administrators, teachers, and supportive staff. The strong sense of community is immediate. A culture of acceptance and support extends from staff to students, making this campus more than just a school. It's a place where students find stability, hope, and encouragement. That's why I was shocked and heartbroken to learn of the board's decision to release Principal Lee Alfred and Assistant Principal Cindy Ramos from their positions at the end of the school year. The administrators at Paris Lake are a critical part of what makes this school work. Their leadership provides consistency for students who often struggle in traditional high school settings. Many of the students I work with came to Paris Lake feeling disconnected, unsure of their future, and in some cases ready to give up. But because of the support they receive here, I've seen them regain their motivation, set goals, and work towards graduation. This school offers more than just an education. It provides a place where students feel safe, supported, and valued. The administrators have an open door policy, and it's common to see students in their offices, not for discipline, but because they trust them. Students know they can walk into the office, share what's on their minds, and receive guidance. I've often passed by Ms. Ramos's office and seen students choosing to sit with her during lunch, finding a sense of belonging in her presence. That kind of connection matters. Losing this administrative team without a clear explanation has left many of us with questions and uncertainty, not just staff, but the students who depend on them, such as what you've heard. These students thrive on consistency, and a trusted leadership makes a real difference in their success. I have hope and faith in this board, and that whatever transition is being made will continue to uphold the culture that has been so effective and beneficial to the students at Paris Lake. My hope is that as these decisions are made, the unique support system and sense of belonging that have helped so many students succeed will remain a priority. Before making any further changes that could impact this campus, I invite you to visit Paris Lake, spend time there, and see firsthand the impact these amazing individuals have on the students. Paris Lake is more than just a school. It's a place of hope, where students feel safe and reminded that their stories are still being written. At the end of the day, as the final bell rings, you'll see staff outside sending students off with words of encouragement and a simple reminder that they are seen, valued, and supported. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Robert Bryant.
Good evening, Dr. Rouse, President Campos, board members. Paris Lake is a special place that requires a special care. I've been very fortunate to work at Paris Lake proudly, serving the school in my 8th year. We have special students that most may have challenging lives. In the past 7.5 years, I've attended 4 funerals of students who have committed suicide all the way to being murdered. I've also attended 7 graduations and have celebrated with hundreds of students and families, all with similar stories of thinking that they will never reach their goal of graduation. I love Paris Lake High School. I love the school so much, being at Paris Lake has motivated me to search within myself to see how I can further enrich our students' lives. With that desire, I transitioned from school support to being a teacher. I am so thankful to God that I'm currently in my role for our kiddos. With that said, Paris Lake requires all the support, guidance, and resources possible to keep our students motivated to reach their goal of graduation. It takes a special heart to work at Paris Lake. It is not a place to serve if you don't have a heart for the most challenging students. My dear board, superintendent, and board members, cabinet members, when you think of the future of Paris Lake, please think and consider providing the best that is available to serve our students, whether it's staff, resources, and opportunities we needed, but more importantly, our students deserve. Thank you for your time.
Jonathan Belloso.
Hello, board. Before my time, just a quick question. I don't know who can answer that for me. Is there a reason why the cards are removed even though, ahead of time? You're allowed to submit a card up to the point of public comments. Does anybody have that answer for me? I was just curious, before my time started.
Oh, that's standard practice? Oh, okay. It has been the standard, I has been notified, it has been the standard practice they are removed once the meeting starts. We will talk about it today.
Thank you. I just want to make sure everything's the way it should be. I know in city council they don't do that, in other board meetings that's not the standard procedure. But no, I just thank you for the clarification. Okay. So much to say, so little time. But I do want to start on a good note. Thank you, because there's two solid decisions I saw being made by this board today. One, you helped a lady keep her job. She was shaken up. I couldn't keep her breath in with how emotional she was. It meant a lot to her. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for removing that line item that potentially could affect a lot of jobs in this district. I haven't exactly seen eye to eye with everyone here in this district. Some I don't even know you. But I just want to say thank you for showing that love, but I want to know where that love is for Paris Lake. I had the pleasure, Dr. Rowe was there, it was a great event, visiting Paris Lake. And it touched my heart in more ways than I can mention. I'm coming from a background of a nonprofit director. I work with kids like that who go to that school. And it affects me because, wow, I wish we could operate on that level. I was almost jealous with how much love this staff does, of this leadership does. Because that's what we're trying to do. We do it on a much smaller scale, but the love is there, and I see it. So I'm asking you to please reconsider. Please look at the facts. Please listen to the students, because they said it best. Please listen. That's all we're asking you to do. I don't know why other schools get more time and attention. I get it. If there's a lot of things to balance out, a lot of people to keep happy, but why is it that this type of demographic is the one that's always the most ignored? Why? Can we look into that, please? Can we not even omit them from the websites? Can we not do that? They're a part of us. They're a part of this community. They're future citizens. So please, I ask you to reconsider them. And as my time runs out, I just want to, again, ask for transparency and accountability from this board. Some of you I can kind of pin which way you vote on, which way you lean on, based on previous actions. But if it's a fiscal thing, then fire that consulting company that we can't seem to shake, that's taking up funds. Give it to our students instead. And I'm sorry, if I could please have a little bit more time. I know there's some that didn't use their full time.
Yeah, if you can just, wrap it up shortly after that.
I will. And fortunately, I don't mean to single anyone out. I do not know you at all, Trustee Hall. But I want to say congratulations to Jamie Anaya. she won the board seat. I did not, and that's okay. I will feel the comfort that she's there, knowing that she represents the best interest for the staff and students. But one thing that was not clear to me throughout your campaign was what your 3 priorities were throughout the campaign. Aside from one that you did mention, kinda, was that you're a mother who wants to focus on keeping these schools safe for the children. I can get behind that. So I ask you, why are we voting in favor of pepper spray and handcuffs and other things in these schools? It doesn't sit right with me. I have a friend who was a school cop over here in Valverde who is ashamed of that decision. So I don't get it. Are we focused or are we not focused? Are we doing this for the kids or not for the kids?
Okay, so wrap it up, please.
Thank you for giving me the extra time. But with that, I conclude. If there's one thing that we're going to see eye to eye, especially to Board President Campos, Board Vice President Edward Garcia, Anthony Stafford, who I've spoken up here in the past for, if there's one thing I hope we see eye to eye on, is please reconsider your decision when it comes to the change of leadership at Paris Lake. I beg you of that. Listen to the students. Listen to the staff who work with them and understand the sacrifice. Thank you.
Dory Trank.
Have you met the 20 minutes?
Good evening, Board of Trustees and Superintendents. I'm here speaking in application for Mr. Anthony Bennett from Liberty High School.
Excuse me 1 second. Let me just check something really quick.
Oh, no worries.
I apologize for that disruption. Just wanted to clarify one thing on the agenda. Thank you. So please go ahead and can you give her the 3 minutes again? There you go. Sorry about that.
No worries. Okay, growing up in shy stutters is a trait held by many adolescents. Staring at the floor between passing periods, sticking to the back of classrooms, and avoidance of attention. This had been the life I thought I would stick to all those years ago. That meek and mousy self of mine changed with the welcoming of Mr. Bennett to Liberty High School. The moment ink hit paper and he became Art Club's advisor, I knew we were in good hands. Mr. Bennett has this unwavering faith in humanity that would advance students forward. It's a belief in people that spreads like laughter. It's a push to trust one another. I was never one to be moved by benefits of authority. It had always become a matter of fear. I wouldn't be able to act or voice booms with venom. I found no honesty and goodness propelled by fear of punishment, but in raw, shameless trust and hope in one another. Mr. Bennett has consistently propelled students forward to reach their best with kindness, patience, and humility. He provides students with one of the joys that makes life beautiful, art. In all of its evolving forms, art exists in everything, striking a source of wonder that burns the soul like sunburns. It's a subject so full of life, deserving of a passionate teacher like Mr. Bennett to teach it. As Liberty Art Club's previous vice president, I've seen students timid as I was split into their most comfortable selves. There was nothing more to do with their sudden shift in character other than the space provided for them, the space that Mr. Bennett provided for them. I truly cannot stress enough how greatly Mr. Bennett impacts and inspires each and every one of these kids with who he is as a person. Even though I'm no longer a student at Liberty High School, my memories of those days have not waned. I speak with confidence when I say Mr. Bennett has made my high school experience priceless. He teaches what it means to be human, to make mistakes, to live and let live, to care. Growing up in shy stutters is a trait held by many adolescents. It's one I no longer hold, and I have my time with Art Club and Mr. Bennett to thank for that. The students of Liberty deserve to grow with Mr. Bennett's teaching, just as I have. They look up to him, just as I have. I truly think Mr. Bennett is an incredible asset to Liberty High School, and with that, I ask that you guys think about his position.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we go on to our next speaker, I just want to confirm one thing real quick. Okay, I apologize for that. We just wanted to clarify that we were discussing a different topic, so we'll continue on. So go ahead.
Josiah Arvanda is donating his time to Jay Kristoff, Buena Vista.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. I'm here tonight on behalf of Mr. Bennett and Mr. Anthony Bennett. My name is Jay Kristoff, Buena Vista, and I am a student attending Liberty High School. There was a petition made where around, actually exactly 185 people have signed in wanting to keep Mr. Bennett at the school. And I'm going to read some quotes from this form. One of them state the following quote: Mr. Bennett has, I am a junior when I first entered our club in freshman year. I immediately knew it was a safe space, not just for me, but a whole community of people. He helped me connect with people I was too anxious to meet, and he helped me through a lot of stages throughout my high school career. There are more quotes from the 185 submissions from students and current students and alumni. And other quotes include that testified that he did not just care about their grades, and that he cared about them as people. Another student stated that he was one of the few teachers to teach him things that he felt that would stick with him for a long time. And lastly, that Liberty High School needs teachers like Mr. Bennett because he makes a big difference on their lives as students. Overall, he is a very impactful teacher for the school, and he's a very important piece that makes students feel safe and welcome to the school. He prepares students for their futures, for their general careers, and he boosts them through his teachings of both literal content for the school and just general life lessons. He's an incredibly credible and kind person, as both a teacher and a person, and by definition, most could consider him essentially the perfect teacher. Opportunities and things that he has helped support include this art show that he hosts every year, where students can submit art and get seen by professional artists, where they can be seen, heard, and just overall boosted. Another thing they're planning to do this year is this field trip where they're going to go to Balboa Park, in which they will learn more about art. And I haven't personally had him, but in the few interactions that I have had with him, he has helped support me as a person and really boosted my confidence, which is why I'm here today. I'd love to have him next year, and I can promise you that any students that are going to attend Liberty will also enjoy him a lot. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Eloise Briones.
Hi. Before I start, I just want to clarify something. Someone donated time to me, so does that mean I get 3 minutes for 6 minutes?
You know what, if Ken, for the sake of time, if you could just carry on, if they would like to speak and go ahead, they can speak on behalf of themselves, but right now, we'll allot you the 3 minutes, please.
Thank you. Good evening, Board of Trustees. My name is Eloise Briones. I am representing our community of Liberty, as well as the 185 people who have signed a petition regarding their want of allowing Mr. Bennett to stay as a teacher at Liberty High School. We believe that Mr. Bennett is an integral part of the school who cannot be replaced, and not being able to have him here at Liberty would be really disheartening for people and artists like me who aspire to have an art career in the future. Mr. Bennett proves to be an essential staff member through his devotion and commitment to Liberty. He's an art teacher, soccer coach, art club advisor, and a teacher who facilitates school spirit by participating and assisting in many events. His extreme dedication demonstrates his passion for these extracurriculars for the sake of bettering the school experience. Mr. Bennett is an example of teachers we need more of, people who are eager and put passion into the work. By not re-electing Mr. Bennett, Liberty High School would be taking away a valuable staff member. Along with all the time and effort he puts after school, he is also one of Liberty's prime encouragement of the arts. Mr. Bennett is notorious for being a patron of the art programs at the school, namely through the art show. He has even worked toward jumpstarting a district art show for this year and successfully ensured that artists representing Liberty will be able to participate in it. He highlights artists on campus, encouraging their passions, either as hobbies or even careers, including myself, due to his considerate demeanor as well as his love for the arts. Our programs are often underappreciated and often overlooked by sports and STEM. While these attributes are very valuable for the education in high school, the arts also play an important role in society. The humanities are needed to reflect modern times through culture. It facilitates creativity, critical thinking, and human expression. If Mr. Bennett is not present today, our programs and their core values would enjoy a massive recession at presence on campus, proving that he is an integral part of the school. Along with playing such an important role for Liberty High School, Mr. Bennett also builds safe communities on campus. One of the core values of our club is to provide a safe and non-judgmental environment where artists are free to create art and express themselves authentically. As an art club advisor, Mr. Bennett's values perfectly align with the representatives and hopes of this community, making him a crucial figure for our club that we cannot afford to lose. The art club representatives cannot see any other teachers supervising this club, since he truly embodies the art community on campus. Mr. Bennett is a rare gem that cannot be replaced, and by taking away his ability to advise our club, this community will lose a core individual. It is hard to find teachers who express extreme care and consideration for their students. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Haley O'Connell.
Hello, I am Haley O'Connell of Liberty High School. I am here on behalf of Mr. Anthony Bennett. He is a very pivotal part of our school, and I'm here to explain the logic behind why it would be, is non-re-elect. Mr. Bennett has played a pivotal role in so many students' lives and education. I myself, my freshman year of high school, I was very, very antisocial, and I had severe social anxiety. Mr. Bennett, helped me learn that it would be better and more beneficial for me to put myself outside of my comfort zone, and that's when I learned a lot of things about myself. I love photography, I love color guard, I can dance. It's a lot of different parts of my life now. that I wouldn't have discovered if it wasn't for Mr. Bennett. Mr. Bennett even encouraged me into taking AP classes, which I'm actually doing really well in now, with AP Lang with Miss Dove. Adding on to Eloise and J. Kristoff's statements, we have 185 students who signed a form online saying that they would quite like to have Mr. Bennett stay. And last year, due to our lack of teachers and hiring at Liberty High School, I didn't have a teacher in one of my classes for half a semester. And to rehire a teacher, especially one like Mr. Bennett, would help us. It would just be a terrible process, a lot of paperwork, and it would leave students without a teacher. All the staff love him, the students love him. He's been a great influence on all of us. He has an open classroom all the time. He helps host the mental health club. He's a soccer coach. He hosts literature club. He hosts art club. He's just overall a great teacher and great for our entire community. Almost everybody at Liberty that's had an experience with him will tell you how kind he is, how caring, compassionate, just how all around he is an awesome person. And I just think it would be beneficial for our education, for our pursuit of the arts, and for freedom of expression that we have him stay at the school. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephen Cass. Nick Pardue.
Oh. Okay. Moving on to 11.1 consent calendar, approval of consent calendar items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Garcia and Trustee Anaya and Trustee Garcia. Seeing no discussion, please vote. On the vote being taken, the vote was 5 in favor, 0 opposed. And thank you all for coming and hope you have a great night. Drive safe home. Written reports, 12.1 discipline, February 2025, monthly suspension report. And moving on to action items. 13.1 general functions, 2025 CSBA delegate assembly election. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Stafford. Do I have a second? Second. Trustee Anaya? In the second? Okay, sorry. Some discussion, right?
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Anaya would be, so it looks like there are 6 positions. And we can go ahead and try to have a discussion as to who we would like to elect. Now it's up to 6, doesn't have to be 6. But we can just have that discussion on who we decide to agree to select and then vote, move forward, and then it kind of goes as a collective vote. So if there's anybody who'd like to start the conversation, I mean, I guess I'll start with number 1. Let me take a look at that. I don't know if some of you remember that Kenneth Prado came by and kind of gave us his speech announcement of why he wanted to be a delegate, and so he's one that I would recommend. He's a trustee at Hemet, and one that I would like to see on that list. There's several that I do know, and so personally I would recommend Nicholas Pardue from Marietta Valley, Joseph Komrosky from Temecula Valley, and Kenneth Prado from Hemet. And feel free to and add in as a write-in Trustee Edward Garcia from our own Paris Union.
Thank you.
So we can do a write-in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's any other discussion. If someone would like to add somebody, or we can agree. If there's a disagreement on any of those candidates, we can go ahead and have that conversation and ultimately just collaboratively select our slate and move it forward.
I would also like to see Douglas Corona.
You'd like to add him?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a quick question. I know it says it denotes the incumbent, so that means they're on their second year?
Yeah, well, they're ending their second year and they're moving on for a new term, but they are currently one of the representatives for the district.
Well, I kind of want to replace Nancy Young with Eleanor Briggs from Marietta Valley.
So you want to do another write-in candidate?
Yes.
Okay, so we have,
So you have Douglas Corona.
okay, Douglas Corona,
Joseph Komrosky.
Komrosky,
Nicholas Purdue. Kenneth Prado.
Yes.
And
Edward Garcia, and
That's six, right?
Garcia,
And then
and
replace
Eleanor Briggs.
Yeah, replace Nancy Young with Eleanor Briggs.
Well, it's so we wouldn't be replacing; we would just be adding Eleanor as a candidate. So two write-ins. The two write-ins would be Edward Garcia, Eleanor Briggs. Trustee Anaya has recommended Douglas Corona. We have Joseph Komrosky, Nick Pardue, Kenneth Prado. So now it's just a matter of, those are six. So unless there's any discussion to add or remove someone, that could be our group of six, and then we can take a vote from there on whether we move them forward. So let's see, on the discussion side, I guess we'll start.
I'm okay with those.
Okay. Okay. So we will move on and so we have a motion to select the six: Eleanor Briggs as a write-in, Douglas Corona, Joseph Komrosky, Nicholas Pardue, Kenneth Prado, and another write-in, Edward Garcia. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Hall. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Anaya. Please vote.
I'm sorry, who made the motion?
Hall. Trustee Hall and Trustee Anaya on the second.
Can you just double check?
Oh. Yes. Yeah. That's correct.
It's wrong.
No, it's not. Which one's in question?
Eleanor Briggs, how to spell it?
No, that's it.
Sure.
Pretty positive.
Well, we can always look on the website.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So now that we have our six selected there, please vote. Upon vote being taken, we have 5 in favor and 0 opposed.
Cool.
Next, we're moving on to 13.2 personnel, certificated personnel action items.
Did it come back to another vote? Or?
No, we just voted on it. We put them into.
And they'll submit that to CSBA.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So on the personnel action items, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Garcia. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Hall. Any discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Upon a vote being taken, we have 5 in favor and 0 opposed. And moving on to 13.3 personnel, classified personnel action items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, trustee Garcia. Second? Thank you, trustee Stafford. Seeing no discussion.
Can I make a comment?
Oh, yes, sir.
Can I request the board to pull 2.9 on the classified personnel action items?
Sure, we're pulling what number?
2.9.
2.9?
From 13.3?
Yeah, from 13.3.
Oh. Okay. I'll make that motion. Or are you?
Yeah, we need the motion.
Yeah, I'll make that motion. I can't
Okay. Okay. So we're pulling 2.9 from 13.3, correct? On the motion, 2.9. Okay. We ready? Oh, no, wait. Okay. So just for clarification, we are approving the classified personnel action items with the pull of 2.9 from 13.3.
Was there a second?
Was it Stafford on the second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
No, but on the original one, it was trustee Garcia, and then was it trustee Stafford?
Yeah.
Second, yeah. So now we are voting with the 2.9 being pulled from 13.3. Okay. Now, seeing any discussion, please vote.
And now we could go to the regular.
Upon the vote being taken, we've got 5 in favor, 0 opposed.
Wait. Okay, so I want to make sure, hold on. We're pulling 2.9 from 13.3, even though we just voted, but we're still voting on 13.3, right?
No, we just voted on 13.3 because we pulled the one.
But we were
pulled one
removing
from the
from 2.
list.
Yeah, but we're still voting on 13.3, correct?
Yeah, we just did.
We voted.
No, we voted on the amendment.
Oh, is that what on the oh, okay. I apologize. So is that correct?
Is that
was
accurate?
for the pull, and now we're voting for
13.3, correct? Because we pulled one item, which was
We voted on
2.9
the
from
amendment.
13.3.
It is recommended that the Board of Trustees ratify and approve the classified personnel action items with the following correction. Pull item 2.9, which is Arviso Jocelyn.
Yeah, we're pulling 2.9 from 13.3, but we're still voting on 13.3, correct? Okay, so that's next.
It's all together.
yeah. So
it was together.
The motion was made to approve 13.3, pulling 2.9.
That's okay. That's why I wanted to confirm.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
Thank you. Just want to confirm that in writing.
okay. So now we're moving on to 13.4. Okay, 13.4, memorandum of understanding between the Paris Union High School District and the California School Employees Association and its chapter, Paris Valley number 469, regarding the community services, job, family, and authorization to recruit. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, trustee Hall. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, trustee Anaya. Seeing no discussion, or if there's any discussion, please vote. Vote being taken, the vote was 5 in favor, 0. I'm sorry, the vote was 4 in favor and 1 opposed. 13.5, personnel, memorandum of understanding between the Paris Union High School District and the Paris Secondary Association regarding the 2025 retirement bonus extension. Do Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Garcia. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Hall. Seeing no discussion, please vote. Upon a vote being taken, the vote was 5 in favor and 0 opposed. Now moving on to 13.6. Personnel revised job description for school social worker. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Hall. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Anaya. And seeing no discussion, please vote. Upon the vote being taken, the vote was 4 in favor, 1 opposed. And moving on to 13.8. Revised job description of Director of Pupil Services. I'm sorry, 13.7. I gotta cross that out. Do I have a motion? Seeing no motion.
So moved.
No. Thank you, Trustee Garcia. Second, Trustee Stafford. Seeing no discussion, please vote. Upon a vote being taken, we have 4 in favor and 1 abstention. Moving on to 13.8, personnel. Consideration approval of job description for Director of Learning Services Support, state and federal programs, and authorization to recruit. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Anaya. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Trustee Stafford?
Okay.
Trustee Hall.
Tap.
Got a second, Trustee Hall. First, Trustee Anaya, and seeing no discussion, please vote. On the vote being taken, we have 4 in favor, 1 opposed. Moving on to 13.9. Agreement with CWDL for audit services funded through the general fund at an estimated amount of $61,915.
I'll make the motion.
Oh, thank you, Trustee Garcia on the motion. Trustee, was that Stafford?
Yeah.
On the second, any discussion?
It's a presentation for this.
No.
No.
You know what, I would like to add that now that as we're approving our auditing firm, that if they can please kind of look into where we're deficit spending, kind of do make sure that that they're digging around to find out whether it's restricted funds, unrestricted funds, just to make sure that they're going through and bringing back information as to how we can make improvements with that.
You like a complete audit under every premises?
Yes, and just make sure so since they're new, we just want to make sure that they're very thorough and they're targeting the areas where we're falling short in terms of the financials, and just to make sure that they know that if they can bring back a report where it is that we could cut some spending, figure out what it is, so that we know how to move forward in the future in guiding us with our decision making and finances to see what recommendations they'll have for us to make decisions on in the future. So please, if there's no other conversation or no discussion, please vote. On a vote being taken, the vote was 5 in favor and 0 opposed. $13.10 business. approval of the 2024-25 second interim financial report with the positive certification of the Paris Union High School District's financial condition and adoption resolution number 18-24-25, which is a resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Paris Union High School District recognizing deficit spending to ensure fiscal solvency with no fiscal impact. And we have a presentation.
But they can't do it until after we get the first and
so,
second.
okay. Do I have a motion? Let's do the presentation. Thank you, Trustee Stafford.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Anaya. And then Ms. Raines, if you could go ahead.
Alright,
The
good
presentation.
evening. Sorry, I cut you off. Good evening, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Sarah, if you could go. It doesn't appear this is working for you. Yeah, I mean, okay. Alright, so to start off with, this is a slide we've seen before. This is just to show us where we are tonight with second interim in terms of our budget and financial cycle. We'll be updating you with second interim with information from the governor's January budget proposal, as well as some other district-specific factors that I'll update you on in future slides. So interim financial reporting, education code requires that school districts file interim reports at least 2 times a year. We had first interim presented to you in December. That was with our actuals that we knew to that date as of October 31st. We're here tonight to talk about second interim, which is all of our actuals through January 31st, and then that report is due by March 15th, so that falls on the weekend. And the third interim is only required when we have a qualified certification as second interim or negative, of course. So interim financial reporting provides all of our stakeholders, including you as the board, with a snapshot in time as of the district's financial status. What it does is it projects our financial and our budgetary status through June 30th. Obviously, we know more about this fiscal year, today than we did when that budget was adopted at the beginning of that cycle that I showed you in June. It does assume that all funds are appropriated and spent, as planned. Sometimes things have to be moved as an expenditure, as an example, from one fiscal year to the next if a purchase doesn't come in or a project isn't completed. But right now it's assuming that everything goes, as planned. So for multi-year projections, I want to talk a little bit about this. Multi-year projections are required by Assembly Bill 1200 and AB 2756. We are not permitted to look only at the current year that we're in. We have to look at the current year plus 2 subsequent fiscal years and make those projections. Very important, those projections are anchored in reliable information as of the date of the projection. So we're using COLA as an example from the May revise when we adopt our June budget. That changes with the January governor's budget, so we're going to change our projections based on those underlying factors. Anytime the underlying factors change, so too will our projections moving forward. So that's why we're constantly looking at and revising the budget to be as accurate as possible based on what we know at that moment in time. Those projections then have to be well documented, and again, because they will change. So you've seen this slide before. It remains mostly the same as it was for first interim. As a reminder, when we build a budget, we do it on a set of assumptions. Some of those assumptions are state factors, like COLA, the factors that go into build our LCFF calculator, as an example, STRS and PERS rates. Others are district-specific factors, like what is our enrollment projection, what is our ADA capture rate, or our ADA as a percentage of enrollment. And so the only changes between first and second interim, as it relates to these things here, is our COLA for next year, because that changed with the governor's budget proposal. That's going down to 2.43%. I will tell you that the Legislative Analyst Office, LAO, is now tracking that to be about 2.26, so we do expect another downward change, but we don't know that yet, so we're using the projection that we have as of this moment in time. On the good news front, our unduplicated pupil percentage changed. It went up slightly with our certified CalPAD, so we are adjusting our LCFL funding factor as a result of that. Now, this is the slide I showed you at first interim. And is Jason still here? No, Jason left. I'm really excited to hear what Dr. Rouse said on our collective behalf and some of Jason's comments. because this is where the money is, everybody. This is where we have to focus. Our enrollment to ADA historical trends are low. We have not come back in terms of when a student comes to school on an average basis, our ADA divided into our enrollment or our capture rate. We are still well below our pre-pandemic levels. Dr. Arau, you practically did this slide for me in your speech, and you did a great job at that, but our ADA to enrollment is 89.86. We were in the 93% range pre-pandemic. And so I think, I know we can do better. And when we do better, we will bring in more revenue to the district. The reason that I know we can do better is because we have data that shows us we can do better from pre-pandemic. We also have statewide data and countywide data that show us other districts across the state and in the county have been able, maybe not all the way up to pre-pandemic levels, but they are better than the years right after the pandemic. I'm so glad that you're here, Dr. Egan's, to take the helm in this mission that we have to accomplish. And as Dr. Arau said, that's important because our students learn when they're here more often, and we have more revenue coming into the district when they're here more often. So I want to remind us of our PUHSD LCFF calculation and how that works, and then I've got a couple of follow-up slides just for illustrative purposes. So this also has not changed since first interim, other than that small change of increase in the unduplicated pupil percentage. That's calculated based on a 3-year rolling average, so that's up to 74.13%. It's not a lot of change, but we count every dollar. So the 7 through 8 total LCFF funding per ADA is up by $9, and the 9 through 12 funded ADA on a per student basis is up by $10. I know that's not a lot, but again, we have to count all of that. So just real quick, let's review how do we get these calculations. If we could focus on the far right column, the 9 through 12, we start with last year's base grant per ADA, which was $12,015. That number is then increased by COLA, so 1.07%, which is $129. We then get our base grant per ADA for this year that we're in, $12,144. So we should be getting an additional $129 per student over the amount we got last year for every student. Now there's some other factors that are added on there that you can see. We get a grade span adjustment of $316. That gives us an adjusted base grant. And then we add on our supplemental dollars. We add on our concentration dollars for that total LCFF funding, per ADA. So we can go to the next slide. This is a new slide for you. I stole this from this concept from School Services of California because so many districts, ours included, are in a declining enrollment status now. And so I wanted to illustrate for you what happens with COLA when we're in a declining enrollment status, because oftentimes most people think we're getting a 1.07% COLA. We have 1.07% more than we had last year, and that's not true. It's not. So if you remember those calculations for in 23-24, our base grant per ADA started off at $12,015. We got the $129 more for the 1.07% COLA, bringing us to $12,144 for the base grant. When you take last year's base grant amount and this year's base grant amount, you can see that going across in the rows there, multiplied by the ADA, remembering we have less ADA this year than last year, that's why that number is lower there. 8,762 is lower than 8,871. Consequently, the revenue for last year in this scenario, $106.58 million compared to $106.41 million. So that's actually a decrease. So even though we got a COLA amount, it's a decrease in funding of $171,000, or a decrease of 0.16%. Now, I will say we are funded under the prior year guarantee, or the average of 3 years, but then that serves as our base, so then our base for the next year is lower. Again, all the more reason we've got to get both our enrollment up and our ADA as a percentage of enrollment up. But I wanted to show you that for illustrative purposes so that we know that in 24-25, while the statutory COLA is 1.07%, our PUHSD specific COLA, using our funding factors with declining enrollment, is actually a negative 0.16. Those types of things are important to understand because that contributes to our deficit spending. And then I've done the same calculation based on the estimated COLA for next year. Now that is actually an increase in funding because COLA is a little bit higher, estimated 2.43%, but when you go through and you do those same calculations, our increase on a per student basis in the calculation, it only increases by 1.41%. So that's just important to keep in mind that we can't just take all of our revenue and multiply it by COLA. It goes into the funding formula, and there's a specific calculation that we have to do in order to get those numbers. So it's just important to keep in mind. All right. So this is the slide that summarizes the many, many pages that are attached to your board agenda, the standardized account code structure document. It's about 100 pages long. This is a snapshot of that for you to see. And so what I want to point out for you here, this is our unrestricted general fund. And so you can see last year's unaudited actuals. We ended last year at $37.6 million. This year we are, based on the current projections, we're projecting to end at $35.9 million. Next year that would decrease to $28.3 million. And again, that's because of the declining enrollment that we've got worked in to the budget. But maintaining the same staffing, maintaining the same programs, and so the expenditures rise, or as the revenues go down, that decreases again in 26-27 to $16.5 million. I want to highlight also in the current year, we're projecting that the deficit factor, that number highlighted in red there, in red bold, is almost $1.7 million. The good news is, though, that number is down from first interim where we were at $4 million. And I've got slides that will show you what that variance is a result of. So it's good when the deficit goes down in this case, and I'll explain that in just a moment. Actually, before you read my mind, you didn't go quite yet to the next slide. I also want to point out our contributions here. You can see that negative number up in the, as it affects revenue. Contributions are not revenue technically, but they do reduce your revenue into the district when you make that contribution into the restricted general fund. And so you can see we are projecting that to be $27.1 million this year, going up to $29.7 the next year, and then up to 34.8. And I've got a slide that's going to break those contributions down just a little bit too, because there's a pretty big increase between 25, 26, and 26, 27. This is our restricted general fund summary. And again, you have all of this in your report. This is just a summary snapshot for you. I want to point out the contributions. You can see the exact opposite entry on the restricted side because that's a contribution from the unrestricted general fund into the restricted general fund. All right, so a quick summary of the contributions. You've seen this slide before, and in fact, we had a detailed presentation on it at the last board meeting. But you can see for 24-25, our total special education contribution is almost $24 million. I'm going to show you in a minute why that's going down the projection just a little bit. $6.1 million to routine restricted maintenance, that's formula driven. And then another thing I want to point out to you, and part of the reason why the contributions overall increase between 25-26 and 26-27 is that very last line of contributions is our COVID ADA relief dollars. Back from COVID, when we were able to have $6.2 million placed in our restricted account until we went through the audit. Probably three of you anyway may recall us talking about that. And so we're contributing that from the restricted general fund back to the unrestricted general fund, $3 million this year, and then the remainder of that, just over $3 million next year. And so once that runs out, then the overall contributions increase. Okay. All right, so now what we want to do is talk about what has changed at the big picture level between first interim and second interim. And so you can see we've got this broken down into the categories there. You see a column for first and second interim as well as the variance. So the revenues have increased by $1.4 million. I'm going to go into the detail of that on the next slide. Our contributions have decreased by $408,000. Our expenditures we're projecting to decrease by $493,000, meaning that there is a increase to our net increase or decrease of the ending fund balance by $2.3 million. So it's helping our financial position by $2.3 million. Therefore, there's a change in the ending fund balance to the positive of $2.3 million. The next slide, Sarah, I'm going to break down what that looks like on the revenue side. So what are those revenue variances? So as it relates to the revenue, the primary source of that is our interest revenue. Interest revenue is proving to be, it's a good thing, it's proving to be higher than we projected. If you're not aware, all school districts or all LEAs in the state, they're required to hold their cash in the county treasury. All school districts in the state are held, those funds are held there, along with all of the other money in the county. So like when we pay our property taxes, that gets held in the county treasury. They manage the investment pool. So it's very hard for us to know what the total value of those assets are or what their portfolio looks like. We do get reports, of course, from the treasurer's office, but we received a higher payment than expected in January, and of course we didn't know that when we did the first interim report. We're making that adjustment for second interim. I mentioned the next line there with our unduplicated pupil percentage. Our LCFF revenue went up. It's a small number, but we're still going to count it. Our lottery revenue went up. Those projection, that's a prior year adjustment. And then a number of other revenue sources, CAS, LPAC, E-rate donations, and some other local revenue, all for a total revenue increase of $1.4 million. So that variance in the revenue, it's not much, it's 0.89% of the increase in revenue, but we wanted to detail that out for you. Now, contributions as an adjustment to revenue are decreasing by $408,000, which increases our revenue is one way to look at it. And that's because there was a reduction in special education expenditures. That reduction is due to costs that we were previously charging to special education. We transfer that to the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant because we always want to use our most restricted dollars first and of course save that contribution from the general fund into special education. So total revenue variance adjusted for contributions, 1.37% change there. Our expenditure variance, salaries and benefits, we're projecting will come in $953,000 less than we projected at first interim. That is a savings for vacancies. We've had a number of vacancies that have maybe taken a little bit longer to fill. We had a long vacancy here in this position. There's other payroll and health benefit costs that have come in lower. Employees, new employees are maybe starting at a lower range or taking a less expensive health benefit plan. So those are the kinds of things that Mimi and her team look at pretty extensively to make sure that we're doing an accurate projection. The rest of that is when there are savings in salaries and benefits, then specific programs will do budget realignments. So when there's savings in salaries and benefits, they might move that over to books and supplies or services and operating expenditures. So with that, let's go to the books and supplies line. We're actually increasing the projection there by $141,000. And again, those are budget adjustments and budget realignments between the object codes. Object codes are the different categories, salaries and benefits, books and supplies, and so forth. Increases to services and operating expenditures. That's an increase to consultants. Also the budget adjustments and budget alignments between the object codes that I talked about. Small decrease in capital outlay and a small decrease in other outgo for a total reduction in expenditures as it relates to the projections of $493,000 or a 0.36% change. So in terms of the percentage change, the variance is not that great, but as I mentioned, it does change our financial picture by that $2.3 million to the good, so that is good news. And we're almost to the end here. I showed you this slide. It's just been updated for a second interim. So, like we discussed at first interim, there was substantial one-time revenues and higher COLAs, and that temporarily helped reduce our operating deficits. We're just about done with the large majority of those funds that came in as one-time dollars. And so what you see happen here is our ending fund balance drastically declined. Mr. Miller mentioned this in his speech before closed session. He of course had those numbers right. We have to, at second interim, as I mentioned in the beginning, do a projection for the current year and 2 subsequent fiscal years. So that puts us through the end of 26-27. And so we do meet our obligations through 26-27, but we will have to be presenting to you a budget to consider and approve in June, which will then include the 27-28 fiscal year. And you can see based on the projections with the assumptions that we have, we will fall below the minimum reserve requirement of 3% at that time. So there is still some work to do. We've talked about much of that work in terms of increasing enrollment and increasing our ADA capture rate. Okay, so what are our next steps? We are recommending a positive certification that certifies that based on the current projections, the district will meet our financial obligations for the current 2 subsequent fiscal years. We're asking you, and this is new, Mr. Miller is right, we're asking you to adopt a resolution 18-24-25. That's a resolution of the Board of Trustees recognizing deficit spending to ensure fiscal solvency. The reason for that, and I attached this in there as well, is the county office always sends their guidance on how to prepare first interim, second interim adopted budget, and they included a new section in that, which I attached for your reference, but you'll notice when it talked about deficit spending in there, it said the board must include a clear plan to address and reduce deficit spending, ensure that the governing board acknowledges the stabilization measures required based on the current financial condition, and then they provided sample fiscal solvency statement language that if the board had already recognized cuts, let's say, to be included that we were not including in those multi-year projections, they would have wanted those outlined as well in that resolution. Obviously, you have not done that, so the way that I wrote that resolution was just to essentially define what I told you in the presentation. This is the projected deficit by fiscal year. This is the projected ending fund balance by fiscal year. So just a little bit more explanation. I know that was in your agenda summary. So the next state budget checkpoint will be the May revision. That's what we will ultimately build our final budget on, based on that May revision. And then the 24-25 budget will be presented to the board in June, on June 3rd, with public hearings for the budget and for the LCAP. Budget coming from business services, the LCAP coming from ed services, and then final adoption on June 12th. Okay, and the next slide I think just says any questions.
Any questions?
No. Okay. I hope you enjoyed some of the new slides in terms of putting some different illustrations.
Yes, so I have a few questions.
Okay, absolutely.
In our weekly report, you had sent out a monthly for each month of our spending.
Yes, on special education, yes.
Yeah. So I'm trying to pull it up here. I'm looking at direct and indirect costs. And then if you look at December, okay, there it is. Sorry, I forgot my glasses. It's at $342,172.
Just make sure I'm looking at what you're looking at.
Oh, okay. It's just a lot larger than the rest of the months. And then we got, 2 weeks off in December? So why is that indirect and direct? I don't even know what it is.
Let's start with that. Let me pull up what you're pulling up first of all, so I can be looking at the same thing.
My computer just went up.
Oh, did your computer shut down? Is that what I heard?
Yeah. Or rebooted.
No. While Anna and James are helping with that, is it okay if I go on?
Yes, please,
okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so an indirect cost is, if you actually look in all of the SACS document, there's a form that's done, each year calculates a percentage. It's the indirect cost rate calculation. So it's a formula that establishes, I think we're at 6.75, 6.35 this year. And so indirect is charged on all of the restricted programs as a way to capture those restricted programs' share all the operational expenses, within the district. Now, in terms of, and this is all restricted programs, not just special education, it'll be routine maintenance, it'll be Title I, LCAP, those I think Mr. Campos had a similar question during Diane's LCAP presentation last month. So in terms of why indirect was a higher amount in January, not looking at the detail, I can see that indirect was not charged in November. Indirect is not required to be charged on a monthly basis. I know you asked to look at the revenue and expenditures on a monthly basis, and that's fine. We can break it down that way. That's not a problem at all. But our budgets are annual budgets. Sometimes indirect is only charged at the end of the fiscal year. In other programs, we might charge it monthly so that they may get an accurate picture. So that's my speculation without looking in the details, because I actually don't see a charge there in November. So it was probably a culmination of November and December. But that's a great question.
All right, yeah, just kind of, I'm a toddler trying to run, so.
That's okay.
I'm just learning and trying to figure it out. Now, last year at this time, were we in deficit spending?
Yes. That was the projection. When we look at our multi-year projection that I showed you, that was like the snapshot of the whole report that you have, we ultimately did not deficit spend. And that's because we were utilizing the tail end of all of those one-time funds that we had that expired September 30th of this year. And so we transferred a lot of expenditures from the unrestricted general fund into the restricted general fund so that we could utilize, all of those dollars there as well. So.
Interesting. Okay. But we finished off with, almost 38,000.
38 million. 38 million.
38 million, yeah.
Yes.
So are we looking the same way this year? I mean.
Yeah, so Sarah, would you mind putting up the multi-year? It's just easier to keep going.
I'm sorry, everybody. I'm just asking questions.
Okay. That's what we're here for. This one. I'm sorry, one more. Go to the unrestricted. So you can see the total ending balance last year, and this is our audited financials of $37.6 million, or 18.28% is what we ended with ultimately last year. You are right, though. At one, and this is even what you're saying, but at one point in time during the fiscal year, we had thought we would be deficit spending but then, as I mentioned, we wanted to make sure we're using up all of those restricted funds. We also had some reclassification of expenditures. So when we have expenditures that we're planning, remember I said, I think it was on that first slide, this is assuming that all of the programs spend the money the way that we've budgeted, the money for all of the programs at the district level, that sort of thing. So we have some of our school sites that didn't spend all of their money, so those expenditures are reduced in one year, they're reclassified to the next year, so the budget essentially is moved from one year to the other. The school buses that we ordered at the beginning of last year that were supposed to be here last year, that's $1.4 million. Those did not come in by June 30th, so we cannot classify that as an expenditure in 23-24. So then that reduces the expenditures, it increases the net increase or decrease, or changes the deficit spending amount to your point. It moves it over to the next year.
So my next question, I'm sorry, but I direct this one down. How do we ensure that our spending priorities align with our long-term financial sustainability while continuing to meet our needs for our students and staff?
Well, that's all of us,
Right.
here. And so, but I will say this, any budget that I present to you, it is not me sitting alone just putting numbers on the paper. We don't do a budget in a vacuum. We have a whole process with stakeholders. We work with ed services. We work at the cabinet level. We work with, I don't know, maybe you guys get tired of all the budget meetings, but we have a lot of budget meetings. There's the LCAP stakeholder process. There's the SIPSA processes at the school sites. So that's when not just me, it can't be just me, soliciting feedback from others. And so the budget is a reflection of the district priorities. And so we take, as cabinet, we take that direction, ultimately from you, but we also have a responsibility to you to provide you the information. You may remember at the last presentation, or the last board meeting, I did a presentation on the different roles and responsibilities of all of us in the budget process. And the board, of course, has a very important role in that, as does the CBO and ed services, the superintendent, the principals, and our stakeholders. others.
So it's like what Mr. Campos was talking earlier, is how do we find out where we're overspending at and what categories, you know?
Yeah.
And we talked about that earlier.
We did. We had a conversation as student.
Yeah.
That's what he's
So
referring to.
it's just, you know, I'm looking at it going, well, we should be able to see that, you know, are we buying too many paper clips? I don't know,
Yeah.
you know?
No, I did hear what Mr. Campos said about asking the auditors to do that. Unfortunately, the auditors are doing a compliance audit in terms of where we're deficit, and they may be able to do that work. I know that's part of the work that you had HYA, specifically LaTanya, do in her fiscal solvency report. But the short answer of that is that's my job, and it's my job to do the work and to have the answers. But more importantly, it's my job to make sure that you all have the information that you need. And if you want to look down to the paperclip level, I know you're just using that in fun, then that's my job to provide that for you. We have been, because of some of the questions that have been asked, not just by the board, but by our union stakeholders and others, that's why we're incorporating new types of slides into these interim presentations, so you can have the information that you need. And so that others have the benefit of our conversation this morning. It's not as easy as you might think to just say, where are you deficit spending, and me to say, oh, that line right there.
Right.
It's just not that. I wish that it was. It would be easier to answer the question. The reason we are deficit spending on the most simplistic level is because we have less revenue than we have expenditures. We have more expenditures than we have revenue. And so then we have to look at the two sides of the equation. Revenue, well, how do we increase our revenue? Because if we increase our revenue to higher than our expenditures, then we will no longer be deficit spending. Similarly, if we decrease our expenditures so that they are lower than our revenues, we will no longer be deficit spending. You can also see here that though we are deficit spending, we still meet our reserves. We still have a 7.74% reserve at the end of the second subsequent fiscal year, 26-27, and that's because we're starting with healthy reserves. So to get down to not to the paperclip level, of course I'm teasing you, but to get down to that question, we have to look at the major categories. Part of the reason we're deficit spending is the COLA illustration that I gave you, and the 1.07 is really negative 0.16. So we have, when our expenditures on the natural, so we go to bed every year on June 30th, and our financials are what they are. Every salary that we pay in the district, there's a certain amount for PERS and a certain amount for STIRS and workers' comp and all of these things. Many of those factors that we charge automatically to every salary on June 30th or through June 30th, come July 1, those go up. Our utility rates go up. The cost of goods and supplies, they go up. And that range is about 4.5% to 5% for all school districts in the state of California. I was at a meeting on Friday with the Legislative Analyst's Office, and they were sharing in terms of the whole state budget, that number is actually 6.3%, the higher number coming from Health and Human Services. And so even if we were in a growing district and we got 1.07% COLA, so we actually received that full 1.07, but expenditures are growing upwards of 5%, you can see the disconnect there. So some of it is not that we're deficit spending, meaning we're doing something wrong, we're charging too much to a certain category. It's just a function of we have less revenue coming in and it's not matching the pace of our rising expenditures. So what it causes us to have to do is look at our expenditures, and really, many of you have heard me say you can have anything you want, you just may not be able to have everything you want. And that's true both when we're trying to incorporate new expenses into the budget. It's just as true when we're having to look at where can we cut things from the budget. We obviously want to cut things that are farthest away from the classroom. I don't have the ability to go to Southern California Edison and say, this is just unmanageable. I can't pay these utility increases. Similarly, we can't tell our employees, look, I know that you are due a step increase. We can't afford to pay it. We have to look at other things. So I know that was a long explanation, and I wish it was a short explanation, but I offered to you to sit down and have as many one-on-one conversations as you'd like. it extends to all of you in groups of 2. But continue asking the questions and we'll continue answering and providing information that you need as a board.
I'm just trying to learn.
I really appreciate
So.
I can't tell you, I mean, I've been here almost 19 years giving budget presentations and
Right.
most of the time there aren't a lot of questions, so I appreciate the questions.
I'm good.
And it's the resolution, the 1824-25.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm looking at this incorrectly.
Let me see if I can help.
This is kind of like a I told you so letter here,
Are you talking about the letter or the resolution?
the resolution.
No, I wouldn't.
Well, you want this resolution that this is basically, whereas you're saying you told us all these things, right?
Well, me personally, or
Well,
or the county,
It has to come from somebody.
so the county sent the letter.
Okay. No. Are we on the right thing?
Yeah.
1824-25. Okay.
Yeah, the county sent the letter requesting that the board acknowledge the deficit spending and their obligation to ensure fiscal solvency. We wrote the resolution, with that language. It's got the numbers in it that are in this presentation.
Okay. So as you get down to 27-28, which is not showing up there, that's where we go into.
That's where you go
our
below the
percent.
3%.
We're trying for 3%?
She just said we.
Well, 3% is the state minimum,
Yeah.
right?
So are we over 3% at that 27-28?
No, we're under 3% there.
So how much money are we looking for?
Well,
I mean, I know you can't be exact, but
I can't be exact because it also depends on what year you make the cut in. So you could, I'm not suggesting this, I want to be very clear, when we are preparing and presenting the budget that we'll prepare for June for you to adopt for next year, we could have a budget that looks exactly like this, making no cuts, no change in revenue, Dr. Egan's wasn't able to work any magic, all of that, and then we could show 27-28. And we could put a number in there and we could say, you agree to cut this number, by the state. But then that number is going to be much bigger. Let's say that number is $4 million.
Yeah.
If you instead cut $1 million in, next year and then another $1 million, it's not as deep of a number.
yeah, that kind of explains why most districts wait till the very end.
They shouldn't.
And then then it's in the paper and everywhere else.
Right. And so that's why I said that would not be my recommendation.
Okay, so
this
by approving this is what I want to know. What does that mean? We've told the county, we've seen all the facts and figures.
That's essentially what it's telling you. I will tell you, if it gives you heartburn, or lack of a better term, to approve the resolution, I think you have a motion and a second on the floor, I think, if I remember right.
I'm going to make an amendment, but.
Okay, so you can make an amendment to the motion. I did talk with the county after hearing Jason's comment. The county has asked that we do this. They don't have the right to mandate that you pass this resolution. They've asked, so we've prepared it as they've asked. It's now up to you for the board. You can simply do, Jason actually said it very well, you can approve the report just like you always approve the report. They're not going to flip our designation and say, oh, the board said you were positive, Candace said you were positive, but they didn't do this resolution, we're going to change you to negative. They're not going to do that. They don't have that authority. So if that makes you feel better, that's an option.
So the only thing, mine's not necessarily a question, but just in the future, kind of a recommendation. So when we're bringing forward, and we know we're deficit spending and we're bringing forward cuts, can we please get the full picture? Because it's always that we're bringing forward classified, or usually from what I've seen, it's we're bringing forward certificated and classified. And I don't think it's fair that we don't include management in that and administration, just because we need to make sure that we have some kind of, I think right now we have a fiscal stabilization plan with all the different things, the online stuff, everything that's going on that is positive. But at the same time, we want to have ongoing kind of conversations throughout the year so that we don't get hit with something in February and that we have to now make drastic decisions, or it come up in January and then we're at that point we're sending panic out. Because the reality is that somehow the word is getting out before we get to it, because people will mention things. And those things tend to materialize. And so my concern is, well, why are we the last to know? And so as we meet regularly, I just want to make sure that when we're bringing forward these plans that you lay everything out, that you have a plan, and that plan is covering every department, every area, so that we can then make a decision with all the information that we have. So that's all that I would ask. But now I'll move on and go ahead.
And we can work on that, right, Dr. Ross?
Yes. I have a question, taking the opportunity that Mr. Campos expanded on this. 24-25, current year.
Yes.
The deficit spending of $1.7 million is it projected?
It is projected,
It's
yes.
projected. Does that mean that July 1st, once we close the fiscal year, we can analyze what happened and determine where we spend more money this year?
Yes, and we can do that before. We can always be analyzing where our expenditures are. You're correct, though.
Not the expenditures, where we are overspending.
Well,
the deficit spending.
Well, that's a function of overspend. Expenditures are a function of why you overspend. So yes is the answer. And in all honesty, when Mimi gets a third quarter report from the county investment pool, I mean, if she is projecting that we'll need to increase interest revenue, I mean, we could wipe out that deficit spending for this year, but unfortunately that won't change, next year and going into the future. But what it does change for next year and going into the future is by increasing our ending fund balance this year, it increases our beginning fund balance next year. So it starts us off in a little bit better position.
But I think, Ms. Raines, and I understand you said, we reduce that because we have interest, right? But we shouldn't count on that. We get some amount of money per student in order to function as a school, not depending on some interest or anything like that. That extra money should go to our students in different ways. Like when I met with them, they were talking about the needs on the wrestling team, that they don't even have the mats where they're going to be wrestling, and a lot of needs that our students need. So that can be there. But we should have a budget that with what we receive during this year, right, just counting the ADA, we should be able, and we understand we need to increase the that 88.6, but with that money, we want to identify, and I want to be looking at that to get to the bottom this fiscal year. Where did we overspend? Why? What was the deficit? What we could have done different, so we can apply that for 25-26.
Absolutely.
Right? So we can learn about that. And one thing that I know that this is not a good topic, right, that we want to talk about it, but whenever we have an issue, we need to take the bull by the horns and address it.
Yeah.
You mentioned, when I was reading the speech about putting 13.6, we talk about a decrease of students for this year of 128, I believe. Yeah, about 128. And last year, it was a difficult decision. That means that we didn't have 128 students. But that was a projection. We don't know. Are we at this time, March of 2025, able to say that projection, if we really had 128 students less and we were overstaffed? Because that's a reality. If we have less students and we continue to, and I understand it's a difficult decision to affect the livelihood of our staff, but the reality is, if we have less students and we keep the teachers and find something else that they can do besides teaching, that is going to happen. That is going to happen. So we want to find out in June 30, starting July 1st, let's get there, find out if really that projection of 128 students or even was 90, and we get.
That I can answer today because that 128 students is a decline from last year's census day, third Wednesday in October, to this year's October of 2024. That difference on our certified CalPADs is 128 students.
Okay, now the question is, did we keep the teachers that we didn't have students to teach? And how many? It would be the equivalent to 3 or 4, right?
About 4, yeah.
About 4, yeah.
And it's actually amplified even from there
Yeah.
because I think it was the first interim presentation I talked in detail about this. So not only did we decline from last year
Yeah,
to this year.
I'm sorry to interject. I just want to make it simple to our board, right? We have 120 students less.
Yes.
Did we keep the teachers that we didn't keep the students?
Yes, because
Yes.
we actually planned to grow. So we started this fiscal year off knowing we were 7 teachers overstaffed.
Overstaffed.
And then we projected to grow, so that's part of how that calculation was done, but instead we declined. So that put us, I think, at about 12 teachers, overstaffed.
But how are you saying that we were projected to grow? We were projected 128 less.
Not at the beginning of the year, not at the beginning of the year. When we did our adopted budget, we had growth projected matching the trends from the previous years.
Okay, so when did we make the projection of 128 less?
That wasn't a projection, that's actuals. That's an actual number, that's not a projection.
Oh, okay,
Right.
so actually, so there was no way to know
Correct.
that we were going to have 128 less,
No, because all of the data, the factual data, which is
indicating that we were going to grow.
yeah, all of our feeder, excuse me, let me correct. 3 of our 4 feeder districts
Okay,
grew this year, and 1 stayed flat. So that data alone, if everybody coming into us is getting more and more each year, we should continue getting more and more.
okay. And now for the board to know, and for me too, it is my understanding that at some point in time, the district decided, let's find something for these extra teachers, these overstaff of teachers.
Yes.
And they became what this year they are being the LEA's teachers.
Correct, that's part of the 7 I was mentioning.
Yeah, and that was the result of what if we were not projecting a decrease. So how come we were overstaffed this year with those teachers?
So that was
I don't know if it makes sense.
Mr. Garcia's giving you the eye.
No, I'm not.
No,
I'm not.
So that was a result of during the COVID years, with all of the extra money, we added additional section allocations to each of the sites. You guys use that for your learning recovery programs, and so when that money went away, those sections had to be absorbed differently. So that's why they were overstaffed and using them that way, to your exact point.
Okay, so June 30, we are going to go in depth, find out what happened this year, and exactly try to identify what Mr. Hall was saying. Where are we overspending to learn for the 25th, 26th, for this coming school year, and start taking action in July? Are we spending too much in this area, in this other area, and take measures?
Yeah, no, that's a good point, but I want to keep belaboring it, but we can do that now. But to your point, on June 30th and in July when we're closing the books, we have all of the information then, but we should never wait until the end of the year to analyze the year. We need to be doing that now, and we have
should do it
been.
monthly.
Okay, so when do you think we can get the first data on what we are overspending?
Well, we have that data here, so, because it's not, remember, it's, and maybe I'm not doing a good job of explaining.
Yeah.
Is it possible that you guys have this conversation tomorrow?
We
And that
can.
way we can go ahead, because obviously there
You
are
are the board
things.
president.
Yes.
I mean, we can go ahead that way, because I want to make the motion to amend and approve this so that we can push the interim report forward.
Thank you.
Okay, greatly appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion to amend and approve the second interim report, removing the second interim, the letter from RCOE as well as the resolution. Do I have a second?
Second it.
Thank you, Trustee Hall. So now when we approve the vote, we are only approving the second interim financial report. That's what we will be voting for.
No.
Or removing the 2, which would then...
And then we vote on.
Okay, so it's 2 separate votes?
Yes.
We'll go 2 separate votes?
Just like
we'll do it
last
all
time.
in one.
Yeah.
Just like 13.
He's doing an amendment to remove 2 items, and then he wants to vote on the budget.
Unless there's a discussion to keep it.
Or you could just say,
Unless after we first and second, we could have discussion. After we first and second, we can have discussion.
Can you see what it,
Okay.
can you look and see what?
Yeah, okay, so it is recommended the Board of Trustees authorize a positive certification of the 2024-2025 interim financial report, which certifies that based on the current projections, the district will meet its financial obligations for the current and subsequent 2 fiscal years.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, so then, but that's removing the other two items. Okay. Yes, then that would basically just be the first doc that you guys see there. That's what we
The
would
second interim financial report.
Yes.
Okay.
So I do have a second. Did we get that? Or Trustee Hall, okay. Please vote. Or, I'm sorry, discussion.
My question, was this mandatory, Kansas, from the county wanted this, right?
The county,
Not that I like it, but
We're not legally obligated.
we're not legally obligated. They requested it, and that's all they can do is request it. So I prepared it and put it for your consideration.
It's not gonna hurt our relationships.
No, as I mentioned, I did call Dr. Price and let him know, what was going on, and I wanted to make sure I understood, as well, so I could give you good advice. No, it won't hurt our relationship.
Okay.
I would tell you if it would.
Okay. Any other discussion?
No.
Please vote. Upon the vote being taken, it was five in favor, 0 opposed. And now moving on 13.11, business revolving cash report for February 2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Garcia. Do you have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Stafford. Seeing there's no discussion, please vote. On a vote being taken, the vote was 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Moving on to 13.12, business authorization for purchase orders above $50,000 for March 2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Garcia. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Hall. Any discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
Okay.
You want me to get roll call?
Hector?
Yes.
Can you give me a little bit of help here? On this authorization for purchases, the description, it says Vector Resources is the company. Installation of Vector door needed.
Verkada.
Vector's the contract.
Vector's the contractor. They'll be installing a keyless card access system at the front entrances to all the comprehensive high schools, the 4 high schools in Pinacati. It's a card access system. They'll be able to, people will be able to access the facility to be able to check out a master key, because our new key system, we don't issue master keys in the district anymore. We're very controlled on the district and master keys. So anyone that needs to access a campus when it's closed is able to come in with a cart, check out a key. We know who took the key, when they took it, when they brought it back, and they're able to access the keys at any time.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, so it's a factor for key control, because we don't want grandmaster keys out.
I think this was brought up quite a while back by Trustee Garcia.
Yeah, it was a different company though. But yeah.
And Verkada's the system that will be installed by Vector. Vector is a contractor putting it in, but Verkada's a system where it's being put in. It's got capability to grow if we decide to add more doors to it. So it's a little expensive because it has that capability. It can grow, but this gets us our foot in the door for keyless card access.
Okay, that's, I think, the preferred method now.
Yeah,
we can do some tracking of who's coming and going and things.
As
we need to,
Yeah, it can integrate with cameras. I mean, it could expand. We can grow the system, but this puts us, at least gets us card access to the front lobbies at the schools.
Okay. The other key for their area.
Yeah, and once they're in, they can check out a key, and again, we don't give out Grandmaster keys, but people can check out a Site Master, and we know who took it. Matter of fact, we even have a picture of who took it, when they took it, and when they're part of that.
Yeah, I don't want to harp on the schools about how they track their keys. I know how that works. So,
Yeah.
And this is a good thing, so that's good.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, now.
On the vote being taken, vote was 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Moving on to 13.13. Business authorization for purchase of capital equipment above $10,000 for March 2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Garcia. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Anaya. Seeing no discussion, but I'll give it a second. Please vote. On the vote being taken, the vote was 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Moving on to 13.14, technology award of RFP number 021425, E-rate category, 2 access point installation and equipment purchase funded through the general fund in the amount of $205,145.77. I apologize. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Stafford on the first and Trustee Garcia on the second. Seeing no discussion, please vote. Upon the vote being taken, there are 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Moving on to informational items, 14.1, or I'm sorry, 14.1. Curriculum, new supplemental English novel adoption. There's a list for the 9th through 12th grade novel adoptions for our review. Moving on to 14.2, business information regarding the home to school transportation plan beginning July 1st, 2025 with revenue. And 15.1, closed session if necessary.
Not necessary, Mr. President.
Thank you, Dr. Ross. And 16.1, reconvene in public session, but we don't need it. Sorry, moving on. 17.1, other items by the superintendent.
Nothing at this time, President Campos.
Thank you, Dr. Ross. 18.1, other items by the Board of Trustees. Trustee Anaya.
I just wanted to say thank you. I know the students and parents and teachers are gone, but if they hear audio, thank you for coming. It really helps us to hear both sides and to see the impact that teachers and principals are making. So I really appreciate them being here. Paris Lake seems to be really left out, and I would love to see a change in that. We're scheduled to be there Friday. So I don't want them to think that we're going just because we were already going to go, but I'm happy, and now I'm even more excited to be there on Friday, and maybe we can add them to the key lock, so it just seemed like, oh, that's true, they're not there. So I'm just thankful for everyone that came and voiced their opinion and voiced their concerns.
Thank you. Trustee Stafford.
I have so many items written down here, I'm not going to go through this. Things I have to do. But with the attendance that we've committed ourselves now to pounding the pavement and finding these students and getting them back. So let's keep a focus on that. Keep a focus on the cutting the money. I agree with Candace, don't wait till the end. Let's start doing what we know we can do now. If you have something that is your favorite item, think about it and say, well, you know what, do I really need this? Can I get by without it? even the board, we have to look at ourselves. So I just encourage everybody to look at spending. Board purchases, it's all there. So decide for yourself. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Stafford. Trustee Hall?
First off, just, thank you all for spending your Wednesday night here with us. Appreciate it. Principal, you guys are doing a great job out there. I got to visit Heritage High School. Got to feed a goat, a sheep, lamb thing, baby sheep. Your new turntable stuff for your what's it called? I'm sorry. Yeah, just your dances and stuff. Great. Doing a lot of good things out there. Got to go to the soccer game. We lost by 1 point, but it was a great game. Got to meet Elijah with the robotics, and then we got to see that work. That was really cool and just blowing my mind on that. So then went out to Liberty, got to run around there, and the one lady who, student, Olivia, we walked into that, and she just, Miss Tejeda asked her to explain, and she come running right up to us, and it's like, oh my gosh, you can't get this girl to quiet down, but just full of energy, and she's the one we're trying to go to Florida, and just want to get behind these students and support them, and then the ASD club all wearing their light blues, and it was just a great adventure for both schools, and it's nothing like what I grew up in. It's totally different. You go through this door, and then you end up on the other side of the campus. It was like, holy cow! We just didn't have that stuff that we have now, and we need to promote it. What are we waiting for? Why is it, wait to the last minute? Let's speak positive stuff out there in our community for our students and everything that they're doing. Today I got to go to the Student of the Month, and to hear these students, but these young adults, tell their stories, and you can see that they're going to make changes. Not just their life, but whatever they do, they're going to give it 110%. And just seeing the love that's in these school systems, with the students and the way the teachers interact. I'm proud to be here and to be able to be part of it. It's nothing like what I thought. So I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly going to ask questions, and I'm the why guy. So thank you all again for spending the evening night with us. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Hall. Trustee Garcia?
Yeah. I'd like to address the principals. So last meeting, I did say a statement. I own it. I definitely own it. I say a lot. Sometimes it's things we don't want to hear, but we're all in a business where we get critiqued and criticized and slandered. But I tell you, if you guys are offended, I'm sorry. I'm apologizing because I treat you like family here. When we make decisions, when your livelihood is on the line, we have to make tough decisions. You're placed in a position where you have to make tough decisions. And there's always debate. Sometimes there's heated debate. Sometimes there's more conversation, and then when we're up here, our minds are going, and we're thinking about the conversation we had prior. And so sometimes we react with a knee-jerk reaction, and I own it. But I've made a strong comment, and I know it affects you guys. But at the same time, I struggle because we're all trying to go in a specific direction, and it doesn't seem like everybody's on the same page. I encourage you to keep doing what you're doing. We value you. We say it. We say it. Not only do we say it, we prove it by our actions. I think the voting, how it went down, was amazing because we spoke from the heart by our voting. And so there are many areas to look at for cutting, and I want you to know we're all here because we're a family and we're trying our hardest to take care of each other. So thank you, principals. I want to thank everybody else too. It doesn't matter what position you are in this district. You're family. We value you. it's very, very tough because we have to live with the decisions. We have to go out in public and face the people who are critiquing us, criticizing us, threatening us. We take a lot of heat. And sometimes we take it on behalf of other members of the district, but that's what family does. So I want you to know, again, I'm sorry if I offended you, but thank you. Thank you for your service. We appreciate you. And I know there's a lot more I want to say, but I did hear somewhere on this side it's getting late. So thank you again.
Thank you, Trustee Garcia. Number one, for those of you guys who are behind the scenes who maybe I've never met or been introduced to, number one, thank you, because you're kind of like the unspoken hero that we just don't get to see. And for those of you administrators, for running those little cities that you guys have out there, thank you. I mean, I think what I've learned today is that I have to reconsider a lot of things and a lot of the decision making that I make because, and for me personally, I think today was probably one of the most difficult days for me for separate reasons. But I think there was a lot of good done today. I think the fact that we're communicating is probably everybody will always tell you communication is key. But yet we can neglect that. There's so many simple things in life that we should follow, but we don't. And so for me, I just want to know, hey, just continue to communicate. The more information that we have, good or bad. I mean, like Trustee Garcia said, we get negative stuff. Oh, by the way, you are the GOAT, Trustee Hall. So I just wanted to say, I didn't want to forget. They said you're the GOAT, so I might as well, you're the greatest of all time. Thank you. So I just hope that there's an understanding that, from us in this seat, in this position, we want to hear it all. Good, bad, ugly, because the only way we can make the right decisions is if we know it all. And we know that it's difficult to go up to the podium and to say something. It's intimidating, it's difficult. The one thing I will say to all of the administrators here and anybody who's been a teacher and who's impacted students, you guys are doing a great job because I think the student representatives that came up here were articulate, they were passionate, and they told us, what it was. And so, some decisions we take in and it might not go in their favor, and, some decisions we make, we'll get egg on our face for the decisions we make, and we make mistakes. I can tell you, I've made a few. I'm sure many others would agree with that. But I just want you to know that I think the more that we communicate and we collaborate, I think we're moving in the right direction. Obviously, we're going to have those tough days, to make decisions and do whatever. But I honestly think that that as a group that we're pulling on the same rope, and there's that synergy. When we're all pulling on the same rope, we're not going to lose. We're going to come out on top, and hopefully, that's what we see for the future. Now we just got to hope and pray that the May revise is positive, and send Governor Newsom whatever you got to do. Send him some communication just to let him know that hey, you know what, we need some support down here to make sure that we can continue to fund the programs and staff the people that we have, and provide the best opportunity for our students. And we know that down the road there'll be some more difficult decisions. I hope I never feel like the way I felt today, but anyways. That's pretty much it. So thank you all so much for all that you do. And we're moving on to 19.1, future board topics. That's a newbie, by the way. So if there's anything you guys would like to add to discuss in the future.
Or a presentation that you would like us to provide to you, something that you would like to know. Because sometimes I hear, we have been asking for that, and we haven't been provided with that info. This is the right place, and it's going to be documented. So it's going to be on the minutes, it's on the agenda. So any kind of information, I have one, you have the opportunity to formally, officially make any request of information that you would like to see.
Well, and so this is going to be a regular thing that we do.
Yes.
And what we'll be able to do is we'll be able to take a look and see what the topic is and the priority. And that way, if it's something that's immediate, then we can move it immediately to the next meeting. And if not, if it's something that's just kind of like, hey, we need some time to gather it, then we can kind of push it down to the side if it's something that's not a front burner issue. But we just want to make sure that you get, because there's a lot of times I think that we get to a point where we don't get to communicate about different topics, different things that are going on. And so
Isn't that supposed to be covered in other items by the board members for the board of trustees?
I would agree, yes, and no, in the sense that a lot of times that's kind of the hey, this is what we've been doing. You know what I mean? We went here, did this, but if there's a topic. So, I mean, I don't have anything, but if there's anybody tonight, and you don't have to have something, we just want you to know that we kind of, Dr. Ross kind of mentioned that we agreed at the agenda review that it'd be something, maybe worthy of adding to the agenda so that we can have that discussion. Now, obviously, everybody else can leave once, that's pretty much like their adjournment if they want to go, because then that could, extend our night. But you know what, I think it's an important item to have if there are things that prompting conversation.
I think the other thing I could think about tonight that I was kind of still resonate, if maybe, the students they came on their own will, but I'm sure there was a seed that was planted. If you guys can plant that seed earlier, maybe when it's on the agenda in the future for whenever they want to speak about anything, encourage them to come as soon as possible so we can hear it early on and not have to hear it after the decision has been made. That's probably the only thing I can think about.
Thank you.
I was thinking about risk management. I just haven't seen much of them lately. I know they're always busy, but you may have, oh, there you go. You might have been here and I just didn't.
Adam's trying to hide back there.
Okay. I don't know what your presentation schedule is. Because I know you have a schedule for presentations, but I have some questions. And we talked about a night of insurance. So kind of looking forward to hearing from them at my point. The other thing is, in the future when we visit a high school, personally this is just for me, I want to see the plant supervisor because I have some questions. So let's let them, explain, because unfortunately I know exactly what I want to ask them. And it's nothing anybody else is trying to blame anybody, but you need to do it this way. Maybe they just weren't told. And instead of, I don't know, I feel like I have no line of communication with some of them. Some of them, they're like their one for the year. He's great. And you've been to a site for multiple times and you never see a guy, he's hiding. So tell him to stop hiding. That's just a suggestion and not an order. No, I can't order anybody. Okay. But those little things I like to hear from people, so it gets to the point rather than glossing over everything. Okay, that's
let them know Trustee Stafford is on campus.
You do that.
So just to clarify, Trustee Stafford, would you like a presentation for risk management? Is that what you're saying?
When he's ready. There's no pressure.
Okay.
Because I didn't get to the safety committee like I used to attend, and maybe I could come back at some point and even see you in that area instead of here.
Okay.
Whatever works best. I don't want to be in the way.
Okay. So I just clarifying, right? Because I want to be responsive to what I hear from some of you. Because I have heard that some of you have told me, we have asked for this presentation, for this information, and we have not received it. So that way, look, on the agenda of the board meeting on March 12, 2025, we asked for this information to be brought to the board, and so far we haven't received it. But it is there. There is a record of that request. That is the intent of this future board topics presentation.
It was an accountability piece that
accountability piece for myself. We can say, right?
For me, it can be solved easy. I can go attend a safety meeting or something. It doesn't have to be.
Okay.
Take our time.
So we don't need to write it down here.
No, you can leave that.
Very good. Thank you.
After hearing the one young lady talk about the lakes, and shame on me because I didn't know it, that they're not on our website. I mean, I'm shocked. Why? Why are we leaving them out? They're all students.
Exactly, and I completely agree. And I'm going to personally look into who is putting that in the website and when it should have been done, and find out and ensure that doesn't happen again. It's similar to some situations also, Mr. Hall, that we had a few months ago, right? That the board make a decision about it was a job description, Mr. Campos mentioned, but in the website it was not updated after 2 weeks, right? So that was brought up to my attention, so we look into that and we found out what happened, right? If we address it. So we need to make sure that all of our schools receive the same treatment, and that is something unacceptable. I, as a superintendent, even though I'm not checking the website every day, but I can tell you, I take responsibility for that because I need to ensure that whoever was supposed to be doing that they did it. I need to have systems in place in order to avoid that from happening again. And that is on me, right?
I would love to invite that young lady back and, send her a letter, all of us sign it, that, she was heard.
Yes.
She taught us something.
Absolutely. And I would like to address that tomorrow, Mr. Hall. So when we go on Friday, that situation is addressed and we can share, right? Unfortunately, I know you're not going to be able for the commitment, but Ms. Anaya and I, we can share on behalf of the board that we took action on that. And that's what we're going to be doing to put it in the website. Thank you, sir.
Excellent.
Trustee Garcia?
Not at this time. He stole my topic.
I only have two things, but one is for you, Trustee Anaya. So when you guys go back on Friday, please, if you guys are able to meet with those young ladies and that spoke, just as long as they understand that we can't respond when they make their comments, because I know sometimes, not knowing, they say something and we're just sitting here silent, like, you know what I mean? So just, if you can, just express our thank you for them, their courage to come up here, their articulation of their message, and then also just to let them know that, we cannot respond. But obviously, you being on campus, you can share our kind of thanks, for what she said, and that we did listen, and kind of like Trustee Hall said, that you can see that there was an impact there. So if you could just share that with them, and me personally, the only thing I would like to see in the future, and it doesn't have to be right away, but just is a different format for LCAP. I would like to see it broken down on a site-to-site basis, so that we understand total. Hey, LCAP is $37 million. This is how it's broken up in terms of the cost, at Liberty, at PALS, at Paris Lake, and just kind of a breakdown, kind of like in boxes, so that we can see, hey, these are the services that are being provided. And I know we mentioned earlier that you can find that in the SIPSA. It's just, I know some of the trustees, and me being involved in LCAP for 2003 when it was created, it's gotten more and more complicated. And so and it's so important on the decision making that we make that we need it to be simplified. We need to understand this is how this money is being spent, and then that way we could be a little bit more targeted and say, well, hey, we're spending X amount of dollars here. Let's just say everybody has the same service. We can at least identify, hey, is that a service that is providing us great bang for our buck, and we want to increase that, or maybe there's a program that isn't working, and that maybe we need to scale down and decrease. So that would be helpful, I know, for me. I know when people start looking at the tutors for Avid, it's a huge cost, but those of you guys, administrators, the importance of the Avid tutors and what goes on and the effect and impact that it has on the student population that's there, that's getting those services within those classes. So, that would be a big ask. I know that I don't expect it to be next month, but at the same time, at some point when it's presented to us, that way we could look at it in a kind of like a spreadsheet type analysis, and just instead of it being 15, 20 pages, just however, as few as pages as possible, so that we can look at it, aggregate the information, and then just kind of ask questions as to, hey, how's this going? So that we can specifically target maybe a future topic on what's going on within the LCAP and the funding there. So that's pretty much it. I know I've said a lot, and I appreciate all you guys' patience. So that's all that I have. And we're moving on to 19.2, adjournment. Regular meeting of the Board of Trustees for March 12, 2025. I have a motion with Trustee Stafford. Do I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Garcia, thank you very much. And please vote, seeing no discussion. And upon the vote being taken, the vote was 5 in favor and 0 opposed. And the meeting is adjourned at 9:40.